Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
Oh, it is Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's the Mark Order Podcast here on the Shining Wizards Network, episode 54. 54. Regular episode tonight, no bonuses. The Holy Triumvirate of the Mark Order Podcast is here tonight. Kate the Great, Ryan Schlong, AntMoney. Everybody's nodding. This is an audio medium, so it's helpful to nod.
Well, once Kate nodded, I felt I had to.
It was very like Nightline-ish, where it's just like we've got person one, yes, person two. Oh man,
What's going on, fellas?
How's everybody doing?
Tired, but good. I've been talking about wrestling a lot. I'm looking forward to opening day because I can't watch any more wrestling. My eyeballs are gonna fall out of my head. But good, all good things. How are you guys?
Good. Same tired, but I have not been watching as much wrestling as you, so I'm thankful for that. And opening day is tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that.
Woohoo!
So that should be fun. Schlong, what you got going on?
I mean, I'm wearing a Phillies hat just because I like the hat and why not? But I don't really care about opening days that much. Mainly because baseball's a very long season. So, like, opening day to me is kind of like the first step of a marathon. Like, okay, don't cheer too much. You got a while here,
It's
people.
the kickoff to the season of the greatest sport in the history of the world. What is the matter with
Hockey?
you?
It's not the kickoff to hockey.
Nobody gives a shit about hockey, Ryan.
Well, this
Nobody
isn't
gives a shit about
Canada,
baseball.
Ryan. Why don't you listen to Wrestling Night in Canada, eh?
Yeah. Listen to that, along with other shows on the Shining Wizards Network, which we will talk about later. And between now and then, I will forget all about the fact that we are on a network with other shows on it. So
I don't know what you're talking about, Kate.
Me neither.
just you wait and see.
What are
You
these
wait and see.
other shows? Yeah, so baseball's you know what? I'm just gonna let Asian Joe say it. Baseball's a very long season. You're a long season, Schlong. It's very true.
The
That's very
long
hurtful.
schlong. That's what they call him.
No. I wish, but no.
Listen, the most important part of a marathon is actually starting it, right? You have to start it to finish it. So tomorrow's the start of the best season of sport.
No, I'm pretty
In
sure the most
America.
important part of a marathon is finishing it.
Well, you can't finish it if you don't start it.
And you're not gonna have a marathon if you don't have a long schlong. You know what I mean?
No, don't.
I think that would actually hurt.
Don't. Yeah, it would.
Touche.
The chafing. My nipples. By the way, there was another. All I heard tonight when Excalibur said apoplectic was Oscar being like, "I will be apoplectic."
I spelled
it?
ape.
I played ape.
Did ape.
Oh man. So yeah, for anybody who's tuning in looking for Millionaire Matt, that would be a shock, but he's working the 9 to 5. So he's at a shoot job tonight. I'm not even creative enough tonight to come up with something.
In 9 to 5, way to make a living. In 9 to 5. Sorry.
First of all, you're not sorry, so don't apologize
Never.
when you're not sorry.
No, I'm really not.
because those are going to continue, and it just feels like, like I watched so that Ryan could run with bad song puns. But here we are, guys. We got to watch good wrestling tonight. That was fun. I haven't watched a lot of that in the past.
Yeah, and even
96 hours.
even last week there was good wrestling too. I mean, Dynamite last week was good. We talked about that. Friday night was the Supercard of Honor, and we did a bonus show. Ryan and I jumped on. Ryan, it's not a good look when you have to pat yourself on the back with the comments.
I'm not patting myself. Eric F said Schlong with the pipes. That wasn't me saying it.
Eric F must be deaf.
He was talking about your arms. He was like, the pipes,
Normally they're pythons, but yes, those do look like pipes.
I mean,
tiny copper ones.
What's a python?
Who is behind you? Speaking of,
it's the natural disasters, Kate.
Oh my God, it is.
I got. Let me think. Hold on. You got typhoon. You got earthquake.
That's right.
There you go.
Typhoon. Oops, sorry. Would become tugboat.
That
Nope. You got it in
reverse.
Way around?
Other way around. Okay.
Would become typhoon.
That's right.
Who would also become?
And he would become. Well, he would become the earthquake. Would become the shark. I don't remember who he became.
Oh, Ryan. That's the Shockmaster.
Oh, I thought you meant like in WWF.
No, who gives a shit?
No, that was that was him, and then he became the shark, and then who did he became someone as part of the
it was trash.
The Misfits.
It was stupid. It was garbage. Yeah. He might as well
Olga or whatever. He was
man.
Golga. He was a Golga or something.
Who knows?
Oh my God, what a mullet!
Yeah, that's a Dynamite Alabama waterfall.
My God, he walked so that Pillman could run.
I mean, he's one of the pillars of wrestling mullets.
There you go. Who are your who's on your mullet Mount Rushmore?
I have no idea. And
Diesel.
Specifically in wrestling?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Diesel's up there. Early
Eddie.
Diesel. Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I just think Diesel's is my favorite because he was like he had that during like such a huge run for himself. So like anytime you go back to watch when he had the title, he's got that mullet.
Yeah.
I like a good Barry Horowitz mullet, I feel like. Eddie Guerrero's has got to be on there.
I mean, it's a little late in the game, but I'm trying to think. There's got to be somebody else from
Shawn Michaels had one.
Yeah, he did for a little bit. The Shawn Michaels' worst hairdo was the Dutch boy.
Yeah,
that was real bad.
That was terrible.
No love for modern ones. No Zicky Dice mullet.
Yeah,
it's not the same because like they know it's not cool.
Right, they're doing it to be sarcastic, right? Like, oh, I'm a hipster, cool, and like mullets are sarcastic. So
some good ones in the chat. 123 Kid, a very underrated mullet, I would say.
Bobby Eaton,
but they spelled it Booby Eaton. Boobs.
Booby Eaton. Anyway, before we got sidetracked on the natural disasters, we talked Friday night. Schlong and I jumped on to talk about Supercard of Honor. Kate, I know you had a jam-packed card. Did you have a chance to go back and check out any of Supercard?
I watched it the same time as SmackDown. Believe it or not, I was able to keep up with the 3 matches that were on the go home SmackDown. But I do want to go and give it a full attention watch because it was so good and such a packed card that I was able to keep up. But I want that to be so. I want Ian Riccaboni on. I want a stiff ginger ale in my hand, and I want to sit down and watch that. So that I was hoping I was going to do that on Monday, but then I ended up doing a Raw After Mania post show, and I can't watch any more wrestling tomorrow. So I'll do it over the weekend at some point, probably.
Well, no, you won't. You're gonna have a busy weekend.
Sunday.
I don't even know what you're referencing. So
my first commentary gig at Excite Wrestling on April 9th.
Oh, that's right. Honestly, I'm losing track of the days.
Me too, and it's my
I keep
schedule. So
I keep thinking that a bunch of stuff is coming up this weekend. It's next weekend, and Easter's coming, and all that other happy horse shit. So I keep losing track of the days. That's why I knew you had that coming up, Kate. That's this weekend.
that's this Saturday.
Oh, look at
To
that.
the people in the chat who want to give us money, I'm so appreciative of you, but you have to be at a certain point in your YouTube channel before you can monetize for super chat. So, if you want to, maybe we should just start putting things in our link tree and on people that just want to send us money for maybe team pedicure outings and merch.
Team pedicure outings.
It's very important.
Bowling night. Mark
Bowling
Order
night,
podcast
yeah.
bowling night.
Hell yeah.
I couldn't. I forgot to find Sergio before this show, so I don't know where Sergio is.
That's
But
Sergio.
he's in this house. I know he's in the house. I just have to. He's probably sitting on the floor of my closet, but there's so much shit in my closet, I just can't get in there. I promise I'll show you guys Sergio.
Do you know
yeah.
how long it took me to remember that Sergio was your bowling ball?
Well, that's your fault. I only refer to my bowling ball by his proper name, Sergio. Sergio the Rock Johnson. So we need to figure out, Agent Joe says we need to figure out a word or phrase for Kate to use during her commentary debut.
I mean, I feel like I owe you guys bumfuzzled from the last poll that we ran.
I'm annoyed because I should have remembered because that was so last minute. And I want to find one that it's very hard for you to put into commentary.
Well, hopefully they'll want me back.
I don't want something super hard because I want to guarantee Schlong it gets worked in. You know what I mean?
Then bumfuzzled works because it will definitely get worked.
It could work.
Where is the lack of confidence that I cannot fit an egregious word into my commentary?
It's not an egregious word. It's just, I feel like we got to make sure that it's something that's just easy enough for you to slide in.
Does it have to be a real word?
It should be.
Okay.
But it should be something that almost doesn't make sense.
What's your ideal situation, Ant? Give us an example.
Me?
Yeah.
I told you, you were like, I don't know. I think we talked about bumfuzzled, and you were like, I don't know how I'm supposed to use that. And I was like, Kate, come on. It's the easiest thing. Like, something crazy happens, and you're just like, I am bumfuzzled as to how he pulled that off. Like, boom, done. I don't even know if that's the real way to use that word, but it sounds right. So just do it.
It means confused.
Sure.
So I think that's fair.
So
Parade Magazine, and because I just Googled this, 100 funny sounding words, and I kind of like the second word there. Bumfuzzle was first, by the way.
Okay.
Second was fartlick.
Fartlick? See, that's too much.
Is an activity runners do when they change between sprinting and jogging. So Kate could very easily work that in between when a wrestler speeds up and slows down his pace.
That one's a little tough. See, I would be better with bumfuzzled because it sounds more natural. Like,
there's a bumbershoot, but that's another word for umbrella.
In what world would anybody who's not in the running world use the word fartlick?
I don't know.
Well, maybe pornography. But
Matt would, but he wouldn't know what it meant. He would just accidentally say fartlick.
He'd call you fartlick, and then you'd be like, "What?" And he's like, "I made it up." He's a child.
That he is.
Anyway,
there's a Finny Fugel.
Hold on, real quick. I want to address two things before we get too far away from it. So yes, we see your message here, long-suffering fan. Why aren't these their super chats? As Kate said, you need to get to a certain point with your YouTube before you can monetize it. So if you would like to send us money, help us spread the word on this podcast, have people subscribe to the YouTubes, and we can start to naturally build this. The other thing is, Kate said, Kate, maybe we'll put something as in the link tree. We can explore that.
Do we have tips on our Twitter? We're just gonna do branding on.
I have no idea. I have no idea how you do that. There's all sorts of things you got to do, and I don't know.
In the non-money way, I just want to point out to long-suffering fan, we do read our chat, however, just because we don't get super chats. Yep. So if you put up something we want to address, just because I know a lot of YouTubers, once they get to super chat level, mostly look at just the super chats. So don't think we will ignore it because it's not a super chat because we don't have that.
Correct.
Very
Now
true.
back to me looking at funny words.
Eric F said, "Can egregious just be the word?" Egregious isn't a bad one, but I feel
I
like
use
that
that in
could...
my regular conversation.
Well, look at you,
Wow.
Mr. SAT
I'm not-
word.
I'm not trying to be but like that's.
I'm
I don't know.
Ryan.
I like
Oh,
Finny Fugle.
yeah.
I
I'm not
read
trying to
and
be
I
a
say
genius.
egregious constantly.
You heard that, Kate? He's like, I'm not trying to be a genius.
I
But,
just am one.
I didn't say genius.
well,
That's what we heard.
that was there. It was close.
Kate, how about Finny Fugle?
What the fuck
Finny
is that?
Fugle.
Someone who is afraid of finishing anything.
I will use that in the wrong context, probably just in life now.
Hey, real quick, there's this one that came through. Asian Joe, the Mark Order podcast needs a Venmo or something where we could help donate to help fund future merch. Stay tuned, Asian Joe. We'll have something for you soon. Don't worry. Not on a Venmo front, but you can help fund us in other ways. Don't worry.
If you want to just give me money, my cash app
No,
is
no, no,
Kate
no,
named
no.
Kate,
Nope.
and you
No.
can.
Nope.
How about
That's not how this
Flibberty Gibbet?
works. What?
Flibberty Gibbet. Someone who's silly
Is
and
that Cody's
irresponsible.
daughter's name?
Oh. Flibberty Give It.
Maybe we'll do a poll. If the poll is too rushed, I'll use Bumfuzzled for now, and hopefully I'll be going back there monthly to do commentary, and therefore we will be able to do that every time.
Man, a lot of people want to give us money. We really got to get off our ass. Eric F., is there a Patreon? We don't have a Patreon at the moment, although we are working on it. We
Yeah.
have a lot of ideas. We need to... I guess let's do this. Let's do a state of the state, right? Let's do a state of the show. Well,
You know,
state
by
of
the way,
show.
this actually works tonight because I'm going to guarantee none of us saw Rampage, so this could be our Rampage section.
I did see Rampage.
Oh,
Thank
I
you.
did not.
I've
Well,
reviewed Rampage.
There's called DVR. I watched Rampage.
Wow.
So yeah, for everybody who's looking to support us financially, we truly do appreciate that. And we would love to have you financially support us to help us out. Stickers aren't free. We give them away for free. You can get them in our link tree. But please trust me when I tell you this. We are working on a number of things for people to financially help us out and us provide them additional comment or merchandise. We have it coming. We have some other things in the pipeline we need to accomplish first, but we're so close with all of this. Stay tuned. Keep that money in your pocket and save it for us on something coming down the line. It is coming. And yes, Eric F., I believe we do accept Canadian. You're just going to have to pay more for shipping. But
not shipping for stickers, because those will
No.
go anywhere in the world.
anywhere, free.
Everyone, just be looking in your DMs. You're going to get a Venmo tag. Ignore the fact that it seems to be going directly to me. That means nothing. Don't worry about it.
Ryan Tholomew. I just tried to
Seriously.
pull that.
Both Ryan Tholomew and Catherine deserve to be removed. Anyway, Kate, back to Supercard of Honor. If we can try to steer the ship back. Yes, you should check it out. Give it a proper watch. Obviously, some things that played out tonight are sort of a direct, result of Supercard of Honor. So some of that, if you didn't watch Supercard, we're spoiled. But if anybody out there hasn't listened or hasn't watched it, excuse me, you should certainly go watch the Supercard of Honor. It was a fantastic pay-per-view and a great way to restart the promotion moving forward. That being said, there are still a lot of questions. We'll talk about the Ring of Honor a little bit more later, as well as we get through Dynamite and give some of our opinions. But Kate, the only reason I asked was because I wasn't sure if you got to watch it. But Ryan and I did the post show. So anybody who didn't listen to that, we had a bonus content on our YouTube and Spotify, all those places.
I so much would rather have been hanging out with you guys doing that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we went through the card and we kind of talked about it, and it was fun. But certainly, Kate, go back and give it a proper watch. It is definitely worth your time and a nice restart for the promotion. So Rampage, Kate, you watched Rampage. I watched Rampage. Looks like somebody's too big for his britches to watch Rampage.
I honestly, I DVR'd it.
Uh-huh.
I intended to watch. Hold on one second.
What is going on? I just said
So I DVR'd it. I intended to watch.
Don't abuse your powers. You know she doesn't have power.
I know, that's the only reason why it was funny. But Saturday, I told you, as I text you guys Saturday night, when I thought I'd be watching it, I ended up watching my cousin he's trying to be an MMA fighter, so I ended up watching him in a fight. Sunday, I just forgot, and then I've forgotten since then. Once it slipped my schedule, it was gone.
Wow, sounds a lot like excuses to me.
Yeah, it sort of does, but okay. How was the MMA fight?
Good, he won in a knockout within the first 2 minutes.
Hey, look at that.
Beat that ass.
Whoa. That's a drop. Where was that? 20 minutes, 55 seconds? Brian, you got that? You wrote down?
Yep.
Yeah, Rampage actually, Ryan, was good. If it's still on your DVR, you should just give it a quick view. Young Bucks faced off against, sorry, I had it in front of me and it's gone. Top Flight. Spoiler, Ryan, Young Bucks defeated Top Flight, but it was a great showing from Darius and Dante. So you should certainly check that out. We're continuing this Dan Lambert, Paige Van Zandt, fucking thing. Crazy Sammy, the Spanish god and Brazilian goddess. Jesus Christmas. Wrecked Dan Lambert's car.
I saw this, but not because
crazy.
I watched Rampage.
Yeah, it's because they're crazy, Ryan.
And it was clipped, so it was very easy to see this one. The Loco.
You got to stick your tongue out when you do it, or it's not real.
These parking lots at both promotions, at every wrestling promotion, seemingly.
My goodness.
Get a handle on it, security.
Like, I feel bad because, like, it wasn't a bad car that they ruined, but I also feel like you could have given Dan Lambert a nicer car.
Yeah. They certainly
was it?
could.
Like a Mercedes? It was a Mercedes, wasn't it?
Was it?
I thought it was a Mercedes. It's stupid.
It was dumb. We had another Hook interview, but Danhausen interrupted. You gotta love that Danhausen. He tried to curse Hook. It didn't work. Danhausen, I believe, Kate, Danhausen cursed, and I didn't see a card.
That is correct. He did.
He said, "What the hell?"
Swear. He said a swear.
Sorry, swore. That's right. We didn't see the swear card. But yeah, so I'm a little disappointed in Danhausen. I need some monies for the swearing.
It's true.
Wait, before we could... No, I'll wait. I'll wait till after Rampage. It just remind me of the Hook thing after Rampage.
You got it. Ryan, the House of Black versus Fuego del Sol and Dark Order match was awesome. So certainly check that out. House of Black wound up winning because Fuego del Sol is a fucking loser.
Yeah, there's
Did
just
Fuego
like
sell his ass off?
Yes.
Of course, but he's still a loser.
Yes, that is correct. He is a big loser. It's not just that he's a loser, it's that there's now just like a Fuego dies part of Rampage. Like
Yep.
Every Fuego dies.
Well, you should check it out. We're gonna pass through that.
Doing segments with a song every time.
My goodness. We also had another women's qualifying match for the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament or Cup. Sorry, excuse me. And Jamie Hayter went against Sky Blue. Unfortunately, Sky Blue lost, so Jamie Hayter moves on. And
I saw some segments of that though, and there was some cool back and forth on there.
No, yeah, it was a good match. I'm just saying, like, there was no way in hell Sky Blue was going to win that match. Like, how are you not going to put Jamie Hayter into that tournament?
No, I agree, but I'm just pointing out, like, on paper, no offense to Sky Blue, but you think it would be a squash because Jamie Hayter's Jamie Hayter and Sky Blue right now. But from what I saw, they at least let Sky Blue get in some really cool sequences.
Yeah, no, Sky Blue had a good showing in the loss. You know, it wasn't a straight squash, so it was good. You know, check it out. We had our interview before the main event, and then it was time for the main event.
Oh, good. I was going to ask if Mark Henry said that.
He did.
Spoiler.
And yeah,
Huge spoiler.
maybe the biggest spoiler of the night. He said it. And we had our main event, Keith Lee and Powerhouse Hobbs. Keith Lee wound up defeating Hobbs. That was quite a match, Ryan. You should certainly check that out. It slowed down a little bit at the end, but those dudes put on quite a match for two giants. And then post-match, Ricky Starks had come down to ringside. Swerve came in to sort of neutralize things. And then there was a, kind of a brawl. Swerve gets hit with a Rochambeau on a table. Hobbs is taking out Lee with a steel chair. There's a whole bunch of brawling, and Team Taz is able to get the edge and stand tall as Rampage goes off the air. It's unfortunate that the Supercard was on at the same time, because I think they split some of their audience. This was actually a good episode of Rampage. Things moved forward. All stories continued to move forward. And honestly, Kate, in my opinion, all the matches were quality.
Yeah, I thought this was it was very strong from front to back, where I feel like Rampage will be like pretty decent, and this match ruled. This I felt like was a very strong episode from front to back. That Hobbs and Keith Lee match was something different than they've ever put on before. I thought that was really, really fun. The women's match I thought was great, actually. Sky is really, really good at selling. And then what would you expect from Bucks and Top Flight? I mean, of course, and there's just like a nice story there because Top Flight debuted against the Bucks, like really, really strong stuff. So that was like a very good hour of wrestling. And for it to be in Mania weekend and Supercard of Honor, like that is kind of not that it was wasted, but ratings for that show are not great anyway. I'm sure I didn't see what the fasts were, but I'm sure it was like 300 people watched it.
No, I think it got like, I forget now. It's too late.
I also feel like I know a lot of people that don't watch it live, but then go back and check it out. So I don't know how much.
I would love to see the DVR numbers on that show.
I almost said same with me. It's
for both shows, for both shows on the Friday night, there was no NCAA tournament, right? And it was obviously a big wrestling weekend. From what I'm seeing, SmackDown saw an 8% increase in total viewers to 2.36 million, and a 0.61 demo rating, 24% better than the week before. And then Rampage also saw some increases, 7% week-to-week bounces in viewership and ratings. And they had 456K viewers and a 0.15 demo number. It was 18th among cable originals on the night. So again, not great. I'm sure TNT will take it.
Sure. Well, did you see the buys that ROH did? Because that's insanity.
I did see that. I think Meltzer had reported they had like the initial numbers. Some of the numbers I saw were like 20K buys on the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, which is
apparently
great.
That doesn't take into account whatchamacallit, their honor club or whatever.
Right.
Correct.
That's right.
So those views didn't get counted into that either. So you're probably looking at least another 10,000.
And that was early, so I don't, because I know that I think in the past, like, was it something crazy where like I think we saw All Out numbers from like last year, like a year later, because they had to wait for all the outlets to finally report the numbers. So I'm not sure how long it'll take to see kind of the final numbers, or how quick Fight is to kind of release their information. But man, 20K buys, not including the subscriptions, I'd say that's also big.
It's the biggest they've done. Maybe, I don't know if it's ever, but in a very, very, very ever. But and also just I was listening. I can't remember when I heard this. I think it was on 83 Weeks. Where they're talking about that Fight is much quicker at giving their numbers than traditional cable providers have ever been
Sure.
and still continue to be to provide theirs. So that's probably why you get such a quick release on the numbers, because it's, I mean, how hard is it for Fight to release its numbers? How many buys did
Yeah.
you get? Like, it's there's no trick there. So that is awesome. You got to also assume
Their
And we
last
might
one
get
did
some more.
2,000, I think, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
talking about like, oh, they did well. I mean, I think the last number I had seen for them was like 2,160. Now, if you were watching Ring of Honor beforehand, you were probably a part of Honor Club. So you
Sure.
were likely going to with where their numbers were. So that's not entirely surprising because it was super, super niche. And I think there was so much buzz around FTR and the Briscoes,
Yep.
which ended up, they said they think it's the best tag match they've ever wrestled, which they have a pretty solid history of tag team wrestling. So that, I think, says something when they have felt that about themselves. But like just the gap there, it's not like, oh, normally they do 18,000 and this time it was over 20,000. Like, no, this was by far
10 times the amount of what they normally do.
Yeah, just insane.
Yeah.
Just insane.
Even the ticket buys, I think, in the
2000, I think.
Yeah, and they said that most tickets started to move after they announced the FTR match, right? I think that
Yeah, that's what
obviously,
TK said in the scrum.
but before that, there really was nothing else announced. It was just, hey, there's going to be a Ring of Honor show. So I would understand why maybe people weren't buying a lot of tickets to the show until they saw something. But I mean, I said it. I think I said it last week to Ryan, Kate, that if I had the opportunity, hearing that we'd get the FTR Briscoes match at this pay-per-view, as soon as I knew that, if I was within distance, I would have bought a ticket. You know what I mean? Like, that's a seller for me. Everything else was just icing on top,
And it's like the people that are, it's so funny because I feel like WWE does a lot of very unhealthy things for wrestling. But one healthy thing is that, like, what WrestleMania weekend has turned into when people aren't even going to WrestleMania, like, that is built on the back of that event, which is pretty cool. So, like, I think there are people that go into town to go to WrestleMania because they love WWE, and then there's people that go to the collective and they'll go to WrestleMania, which is like the afterthought for them now. Like, that, the people that would be going to the takeover at WrestleMania are the people that are going to go to all these indie shows, right? So, like, it's kind of cool that, like, I don't think that ROH show, as awesome as it is, gets the kind of hype it would if it's not mixed in with the rest of the things that are at the collective. And then Impact ran a show and like all of these things. So it's just such a healthy weekend for wrestling. And I think to like kind of kick off this Ring of Honor reboot at it was such a healthy thing. Like, it just feels like it was the absolute right call. And I know some people had problems with the booking because it was like anytime somebody went up against someone from AEW that was a Ring of Honor talent, it felt like the AEW talent was the winner, but like they don't have a clear idea of what their future is. So I just think that actually kind of makes a world of sense. It sucks, but like, we don't know if the Briscoes are going to ever be on TV. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. So of course FTR was going to go over. Of course Wheeler Yuta was going to go over, because there's also so much value in established talents being able to put ROH guys over, that I think this was actually the right call. Whereas sometimes I feel like it feels like you're betraying the homegrown talent. There's going to be that diehard ROH crew that wants to see like their guys constantly win. But like overall, it just feels like this was completely knocked out of the park for so many promotions in general, minus one who had 3 events that they canceled and completely fucked their talent. But like, this weekend was so special. And I feel like the thing that people came out of talking about it outside of Mania was like that match and that card. And I just think for the journey that ROH has had of everything that happened with Marty and the product falling off a cliff and then rebooting, and then the pandemic happened and then them shutting down, to end up with this fairy tale ending, like what an incredible situation for them. So yeah, that was very long, twisty rant, but there you go.
And I hear what you're saying, Kate, about people having a problem with it seeming like AEW talent won every match, but you know, everybody who they pick to put in these matches, with exception, I think, of like Swerve, right? Everybody that they picked had a tie, and Suzuki.
And FTR.
Everybody had a tie to Ring of Honor at some point or another. Listen, I think it's having watched it and now sat with it for like a week and a half, I think that they did this a week and a half. Jesus, it was it was like 5 days. It feels like a week and a half.
Dax and CM Punk feels like 6 years ago, and it was 2 weeks ago.
We talked about this, Antho, on Saturday, that not only does it make sense because, again, Yuta, he was ROH, FTR wasn't, but they're viewed as one of the best tag teams in the world. How can you complain? Suzuki, but like Jay Lethal, Gresham was, he won. Like, it wasn't quite, and I'm trying to think of the other matches. I'm blanking on some of them, but Mercedes Martinez beating Willow, like Mercedes has history there. But not only that, like Kate said, we talked about Saturday, but I'll reiterate for anyone to listen. You're gonna go with who you have under contract because you don't know the future, and you can't really negotiate ROH specific contracts yet because you don't know the TV. So how do you base what you're going to pay someone when you don't know the income you're bringing in? Right. So I don't want to give the billionaire the benefit of the doubt, but I'm going to give the billionaire the benefit of the doubt in the sense of, like, he's only owned it a month. He hasn't even gotten TV nailed down. Once he nails down TV, he can negotiate ROH contracts. And if he continues this, then even I could be like, all right, let some of these ROH guys win. But right now, you're going to give it to your contracted guys because they're the only ones you're sure will be there when you're ready to go.
Right. I think the other thing too is clear by keeping the belt on Gresham, right? And that match was Gresham Bandito. So there was nobody with ties to AEW. I think it's clear now that you're going to keep Gresham around. You'd be a fool to let him go. So you keep the belt on him, you keep him around. But the other thing too is just thinking about this smartly, right? Like Ryan said, okay, so how are you going to put people under contracts until you know what your TV deal is, right? But also, if you put these belts on talent that is already signed in AEW with ties to Ring of Honor, you can keep the product fresh on television that you do have, right? So, like, we'll get to it tonight, but we see advances with Wheeler Yuta. We see advances with Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal. Like, all of that stuff ties directly back to that pay-per-view. And you can't do that stuff if you keep the pure title on Josh Woods because he's not under contract. I think he should be, right? Like, again, you'd be foolish to let somebody like that go, but how can you sign him without knowing what you're going to do with him? So I think they're going to figure it out. Like, they're going to figure it out. The show was good. And while it had the production quality updates of AEW, it had the feel and the heart of Ring of Honor. And that's all you could ask for. You didn't want it just to feel like another AEW brand. It didn't feel like that. It felt like its own thing. And I'm happy for that. So, if you want to hear more in-depth stuff, you can certainly go to the post-media scrum. I think AEW has it on their YouTube. I don't think they take that stuff down. TK talked a lot about it. I believe he said that, just a couple highlights to kind of close loop on Supercard, and we'll keep moving forward. I believe he said that there was no obligation to do this show, but he didn't want to cancel it. And Turner didn't have to let him produce this show, and they allowed him to do it. So it was something he wanted to do for the fans and didn't want to have to cancel the show. So he did it. I think the other thing he said is that Deanna was contractually obligated to Impact, right? And he didn't want her to have to wrestle 2 matches so closely. So that's why he didn't have her on the show, but he definitely wants her involved moving forward, right? So I think we know we're going to get Deanna moving forward. TV's not worked out, but they're working on it, and they want a TV deal. So that's going to come. So we're going to figure out how that's going to happen. And the other thing that I thought was awesome that came away outside of TK from that post-media scrum, Kate, I don't know if you saw it, but did you see Gresham specifically call out Punk and Danielson?
Yes.
And he says it's because they took the honor with them when they left or something like that. And that's why he said it was so important to hold the original belt, because this is the one that, you know, people kind of built this company on with honor. And then he specifically mentioned Danielson and Punk kind of leaving with that honor when they left.
Which is kind of what we even saw at the end of Final Battle, right? So, like, that's a really, really nice continuation, because after Final Battle, he had basically hinted as much, but there was so much uncertainty. Who knows? But I like that he picked that up where they left that off. So they would be crazy not to capitalize on that.
Yeah, totally. Oh, and the other thing that came out was Brian Cage's return.
Yes.
You know, he couldn't tell him what the plan was because he was in contract. You know, he was in talks to buy it, but he told basically Cage, like, I have something, you know, we'll talk. And then Cage was like, yeah, they extended me, but they don't tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
And he was just like, fuck, Brian. So I just thought that was funny. But yeah, I mean, listen, to anybody who didn't see the Supercard, go watch it. Kate, give it a fair watch. I know you will. It was a lot of fun. And if you didn't see Rampage because you watched the Supercard, you should check out Rampage too. That was a good hour of TV wrestling.
Yeah, Ryan.
Seriously,
Oops.
Ryan.
So a couple things here. One, I love that the picture I chose of natural disasters is so clear that my camera refuses to focus on me. So at this point, I'm just letting it ride.
You are weak compared to the natural disaster.
I am. I'm just not natural enough. Second, speaking of Hook interviews, if you have a chance, it's very short. I think it's like 2 minutes. Watch RJ City's attempt at interviewing Hook. It is so fucking funny. I won't ruin any of it, but it is just worth your 2 minutes and whatever. It's the shorter stuff his shows so far, but every one of them has been great. That was a very smart move on their part that I didn't see at first, but now I completely get it.
You guys talked about it last week, and I had kind of like seen like snippets of it, and then I went back and I watched the Danhausen one. I was dying.
It's so great.
With every time he said, "Hey EW," he's like, "Hey ew."
Yeah.
And he was getting so upset. They were getting so frustrated with each other. I thought it was great. I started the TK one, but I didn't finish it, so I have to go back and watch it. But I think there was something funny in there that I caught from the part of the episode I saw where he asked him about another con, and he's like, "Is that your sister?" And he's like, "Who?" And he said his real sister's name. He's like, No, Madeline Khan. And he's like, "Yeah, no, we're not related. She spells her name different, and she's much, much, much older." I made me laugh because I know who Madeline Khan is. But yeah,
all four have been great now.
Who was the third one? Was it Mark Henry?
Mark Henry, yeah, and it was very funny. Like I said, Kate has been trying to sell me on RJ City for years, and I didn't see it right away.
It's the best.
That's my bad. His show is perfect. It's so AEW needs stuff like this that's not on-screen wrestling but fills out their brand, because that is actually something I'm going to give WWE a ton of credit for. They recognize a good way to build fans and keep fandom is not just your wrestling product, which obviously they don't care about as much. But a lot of the other stuff they do, the YouTubes, the Twitters and stuff like that. And AEW's seeing that too. And they've tried a couple different things. And I think this RJ City one might be the best thing they've done so far outside of it, because he's just so fucking funny.
Yeah, it's a good in between to like there's BTE, right? But it's like it's so deep in one direction or the other. That's like a really nice linchpin. So
yeah, it's a funny, quick show. You know, BTE could be like 30 minutes, and it's a little inside baseball. You know what I mean? RJ City's just a lot of fun. Hey EW, or Hey Ew if you're Danhausen. By the way, just something that hit my brain. Ryan. Okay, let's go with this. Let's go to Kate first. Kate, if you're part of the natural disasters, and we can't repeat these, okay? So Kate's the first one to pick. If you are part of the natural disasters, there's earthquake, there's typhoon. Which natural disaster are you?
Ooh.
and I'm going to take this one off the table we're going to sign it to Millionaire Matt because he's not here, but he's definitely Mudslide.
Yeah.
For obvious
I'm
reasons.
gonna go Typhoon.
No, you can't be Typhoon.
Why not?
No. You have to choose another natural disaster.
Another natural disaster. I
Yeah.
thought you were saying who's my
No.
disaster
What natural disaster would you be?
Oh.
Matt would be
I would be a
Mudslide.
tornado. Are you kidding? The way I come into shit.
The tornado, okay. Kate would be the tornado. Matt would
definitely
mudslide.
be a mudslide.
We know why. Ryan, what would you be?
Guys, I'm clearly the blizzard. Just a whole lot of blinding white coming at you.
And
Okay.
you love cocaine.
And you do love cocaine. That is true.
You do love the ski slopes.
I'm the only fat cocaine user in the world.
Hey, listen, you can't help what you like, and you can't help what your body's like. Just love you, buddy. We love you. And if you love
Who are
coke,
you, Ant?
that's fine.
Yeah, who are you?
Oh, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to think of like I don't know what it would be called, but like
You'd be an avalanche.
would I be? I'm trying to think of
The
something
avalanche.
slow because I'm not very fast. And I was thinking when obviously you have a volcano and it erupts.
I knew you were going volcano. I saw it.
Lava flows very slowly, but it's very destructive. So I'd probably do something like, I don't know, volcanic eruption. Who
I like
knows?
it. Oh, if only we had certain sponsorships.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Kevin Garifo saying Earthquake was Avalanche in WCW and you're disqualified.
I didn't pick Avalanche.
Oh, who did?
Nobody did.
I
Kate said
nominated.
I should.
Oh,
Kate said
she
I should be
nominated.
Avalanche, and I said no. It's too quick and deadly. That is the
Okay.
opposite of me. Not quick, rather slow.
Volcanoes don't do
Slow-
anything for a very
slow
long
and
time,
plodding.
erupt,
That's right.
and then slowly come at you.
That's right. It slowly leaks and destroys everything. Marky Mark Kayfabe says the torrential downpour. I think that's still too quick and long. I'm very short burst.
That is what he said.
Oh boy. There's some good ones in here. Asian Joe says rock slide. I don't know if that's for anybody, but that could be a good one. Gordon Post says tsunami.
Rock
Guys,
slide
when I
would be cruise director Mike. Oh yeah, the rock slide.
guys,
was
don't worry.
waiting
When
for
I
it.
finally make an OnlyFans, I'll be Heatwave
Oh,
Heat
because I'll be hot.
Oh my gosh. Anywho, we've been going for a while, so I think we should take a little break before we get into Kevin Garifo says the sinkhole. That's another good one. Those do
I
just
get
show
called
up
up
out
at
of
orgies.
nowhere.
It's a whole thing.
Anyway, let's take a short break before we get into Dynamite and some other things. So, Kate, I think you were mentioning before. Were you mentioning something about a network and other shows?
Could it be me?
I thought you were. Jesus, nobody can go with a goddamn bit.
What network? What other shows, Anthony?
Well, Ryan, word on the street is we're part of a network called the Shining Wizards Network.
I know nothing about this. Tell me.
When?
Well, the Shining Wizards are a wrestling podcast. It's wrestling talk and talk about wrestling. And they've been doing it for more than 10 years. And while some say they're the B show of the network and we're the A show,
Everybody says that, right?
that's what everybody says. Even Kevin says it. We know it. There are, we wouldn't be here without them. It's their network. We got to play nice. You know what I'm saying? I also like this. Asian Joe says he hears the Shining Wizards Network is a natural disaster in itself. It's a good one. So apparently there are other shows that are part of the network. Have you heard about this, Ryan? Do you know this? Have you heard about this?
No, this is news to me. Please, I need to know about these shows.
Well, Ryan, then you should sit tight. Don't get out of your chair. Definitely don't go take a leak. Just sit in your chair contently, staring straight, and hear about some of the other great shows that are part of the Shining Wizards Network.
Everyone knows a lot of things can change in the span of 10 years. But when it comes to professional wrestling podcasting, one thing is still guaranteed. The Shining Wizards is the only place to get all the latest wrestling news, interviews with the greatest guests, and of course, tons of laughs in discussing the world of wrestling. The show is still available on Monday nights at 7 p.m. East on rantemradio.com and Rant Entertainment Media on the TuneIn app. And it's still available on all podcasting platforms. To check us out, head over to shiningwizards.com, where it's still wrestling talk and talk about wrestling.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments.
Horns up, everyone. When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure every Friday to check out Radioactive Metal. Radioactive Metal is one of the longest running podcasts on the interweb. And every week we bring you a fist full of metal, including interviews with all your favorite artists, discuss all the metal news, and feature the best tunes on the air today. So grab a Lemmy, join your cool Uncle Snowy and co-host Aaron in the pit.
Your recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting from the current to the way back. Join the Impact player Phil Brea and the Portuguese Man of War Choppy for the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast, live every week on rantemradio.com. Get all our episodes over at iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Audio Boom, Google Play, ShiningWizardsNetwork.com, and TurnbuckleThrowbacks.com.
Are you tired of being told what to think and believe by Hollywood elites and politicians who just don't care about you?
Tired of not getting the truth when you watch the news?
Tired of trying to figure out what pronoun to use?
Tired of mob mentality when all you want to do is think for yourself and make up your own mind?
That's where we come in. This is Justin.
And Vince.
Your host of Inconclusive Breakdown.
We are a weekly anti-PC podcast bringing you entertainment and current event news without any spin.
If you want to truly stay informed on what's going on in the world, then give us a listen every Sunday, anywhere you get podcasts, at least till Zuckerberg and Twitter Jack deplatform us.
And as always, we're proud members of the Shining Wizards Network.
Tired of the PC police telling you what you can and cannot say? Want a show that travels back to the 80s and 90s, where the badass hosts have beaten down cancel culture on 3 separate occasions and carried on to gloat about it? Since 2013, The Midnight Jury is that show. Travel back to the malls and arcades, pop in your VHS, and join us where the 80s and 90s return from the dead. Conan, tell them where to find us.
WLWstudios.com, home of the Midnight Jury podcast, hosted by Midnight Mike and Calvin Brody.
Also available on all major podcast platforms via the Shining Wizards Network, and join in the conversation on Twitter at Midnight Jury.
What's up, wrestling fans? You want something awesome? Check out Wrestling Night in Canada here on the Shining Wizards Network. We're 3 Canadian metalheads uniting for the love of pro wrestling. Every episode we go over all the latest news and special events with the odd unique interview as well. So grab a cold one and check out Wrestling Night in Canada, eh?
All right, we're back after those fine messages. Ryan, did you learn about the other shows that are part of the Shining Wizards Network? And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's Ryan. All I'm seeing is a perfectly in focus natural disasters. Oh, and the Mouth of the South.
Yeah, I'm loving that he somehow got into this, and I did. I'll be honest. I think we're a little too PC for this network, guys. So we got to be careful. I'm sorry. Listen, it's been commented in the chat. I'm gonna comment. Yeah, we know, guys. That's all I'm gonna say is we know.
Listen, we're part of the network. We don't make the ad. We play it. That's it.
Yeah,
no comments.
But yeah, that's as far as I'll go with it. But understand, we know.
Pick and choose what you want to listen to. Whatever floats your boat. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
whatever.
This guy was a tugboat.
But then he was a typhoon, so he's like, "Fuck the tugboats! I'm gonna take them all out."
So
He's
one of
still in the water.
Jesus Christ, he killed himself to come back and do this.
He did.
My God.
So, guys, let's run through the rankings real quick because it's tradition.
Guess who's in them?
Who? Where do you want to start?
Phil is in them.
Go ahead, Kate. You want to run through?
Sure, I would love to. Your AEW champion is Hangman Adam Page, and your TNT champion is Scorpio Sky. Coming in hot at number 1. He's crazy. The Spanish God, 8-1 in the number 1 slot. Adam Cole.
Baby.
Thank you, Amp, for being with us and with me on this journey. Is in the number 2 slot at 6-1. Number 3, the Murder Hawk Monster. We've got Lance Archer.
Baby. Oh, sorry.
Number 4, who the fuck is it? Is that Frankie Kazarian?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
What the fuck? These rankings are so stupid.
He's 8-1.
Frankie Kazarian is 8-1, a real contender for that AEW championship.
Doesn't necessarily need to be the AEW championship. There's 2 championships. True. And right now, sidebar, I didn't mean to derail you. There's no clear taker for the TNT championship. He's involved with this thing with Sammy, but Sammy doesn't really want the belt. He just wants to settle this feud,
He just wants to fuck his hot girlfriend. All right, good for him.
Good for him.
He just wants to destroy cars. And I would have fun in a smash room destroying cars. And if I was a dude
cars. Oh, okay.
Getting it in with Tay Conti, probably wouldn't be.
I was gonna say
bad.
you're talking about a smash room and Tay Conti. I was going different places.
I'm a straight woman, but I get it. All right. But
you
most importantly, look in my eyes. What do you see? Who at number 5 is it gonna be? It's gonna be CM Punk. He's coming for the AEW title, baby, against your cowboy, Adam Cole.
But
the cowboy,
baby.
Jesus Christ, Adam Cole. The most important question is: will he be in pants or shorts? We don't know.
Or
jorts.
Trunks.
Maybe he goes full Cena.
Oh man.
Or Stone Cold goes full jorts.
Jorts. Kate, what do we got going on with the tag titles?
But I can tell you your champions are the Jurassic Express. And in the 1 slot is FTR at 3-1. Number 2 is, these are so tiny, Silver and Reynolds at 5-2. Number 3, Top Flight, not at the top of the division, but they're on their way up. The Ass Boys at number 4. And number 5, the Acclaimed. Everyone loves them.
Yo.
That's why they're scissoring. Yo, listen. They round out your top 5. In the title picture, they're staying alive.
Thank you for calling the Gun Club by their proper name, too. That way Danhausen gets a nickel.
You're welcome. He deserves all those nickels. Your AEW Women's Rankings. Thunder Rosa, your champion. Jade Cargill. Shut the fuck up, everyone. She's 7-0. Number 1 is Nyla Rose. For some reason, number 2, Serena Deeb. Actually tied with her with the 7-0 record. Number 3 is Layla Hirsch, who it sounds like got injured tonight, unfortunately. So we'll see what happens there. Number 4, Jamie Hayter at 4-0. And rounding out your top 5 is that Marina Shafir? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna address 2 things here real quick. On the women specifically, because they've it's a little ass backwards that you adjust the rankings to after you've booked something, where really should adjust them and then book it and be like, hey, look, we're responding. However, Nyla's record of 7-0, at least by these rankings, makes sense to put her towards the top with Serena Deeb. So fine, you can at least understand it now. Not saying I like it. We can go, that's a whole different argument, but at least there's some logic there. And using Marina Shafir's 4-0 record this year, which means they have not had her take a loss on AEW Darker Elevation. Again, it's a little ass backwards, but at least it's trying to apply logic.
Oh, good for them. They've had rankings for 3 years and they're always stupid and they suck, but Phil is in them, so that's exciting.
Oh, so now they're okay. Just because of Phil.
Yes. You know what? Yes.
My goodness. Boy, oh boy.
Typhoon is not happy.
No, Typhoon's not happy.
Typhoon. I don't.
He's never happy. So, guys, let's get into
Tornado is
Dynamite.
coming for you.
Oh, snap.
I'm taking Typhoon in that fight.
You know
so
what?
I honestly, I'm just betting on myself to lose so I can take this money and go home.
It's a good thing, Kate, you didn't go with Hurricane because you would have been disqualified. You would have been out.
It's true, but I didn't.
All right, guys, let's get into Dynamite for tonight. It was a pretty good show. We let off the night with Adam Cole.
Baby!
Boom!
Oh, Ryan can't seem to get it right these days. My goodness. So we had Adam Cole and Christian Cage, Zaddy Christian Cage. And cutting to the end here, Adam Cole won by pinfall with the boom. Post-match, Red Dragon comes out to beat up Cage, but then Jurassic Express evens up the odds, and the tag teams kind of brawl to the back. That's when Hangman Adam Page comes out, and he starts to jaw Cole, or Cole says, whoa, hold it up. And then he starts talking about, basically stop him. We're not doing this. And Page says, well, if you want a title shot, then I'll give it to you. And it's going to be a punishment. Next week at Rampage in Texas, they'll have a match, but not a normal one. It'll be a Texas death match. And if he was Adam Cole, he'd get his affairs in order. So, Kate, let's go to you first. What do you think of the match and the post-match antics?
I thought the match was great. Both of these fellas, quite good at the wrestling. This was a really, really, really fun opener. Christian is underrated. His return, I feel like, got swallowed by Cole and Danielson and Punk coming in. But he's such a reliable hand. And just, I thought this was a really, really fun opener. Someone who is not your wife that I talked to said, and I quote, Christian Cage
wife.
It's not, but it couldn't be because they said Christian Cage can run over me with a car any day. Mm-hmm. I guess he is like the ladies' old, like the old wrestler thirst is for Christian Cage. I didn't know this, but between Mrs. Money and this lovely lady Lily, I just was laughing at that because I had to double check. I was like,
I get it.
Mrs. Money? I mean, he's not unattractive by any means.
He's got that like rugged older man look. I get it.
He's seasoned.
He is seasoned. Mm-hmm. He's a seasoned vet. And apparently people want to find out what other ways he's a seasoned vet. But that just made me laugh because I know Mrs. Money also has an affinity for Christian when she's not drooling over Tony Nese's abs. But really, really great match. I don't know. Are we just talking about the match or are we talking post-match too?
No, post-match too. The whole thing.
Okay. I don't know if I need another Texas death match.
Sorry, I'm laughing because Ryan looks so he looks so annoyed at your question. He's like, duh, the whole thing.
I'm sorry, jeez.
I just like giving Kate attitude. It's fun.
Ryan, she doesn't listen to anything we have to say. I clearly said, what did you think of the match and post-match antics? She didn't care.
That's because in her head, all she's thinking, Phil is ranked, Phil is ranked, Phil is ranked, Phil is ranked.
Was I, or was I thinking, that Christian?
I was.
I don't know if I need another Texas death match. Like, back-to-back opponents with a Texas death match feels like a little much, especially like I like watching Adam Page just wrestle a traditional match. I understand wanting to add stakes to this, but they're also not even in Texas. So why can't it be any other state? What if they're doing this in Iowa? Why can't it be a Des Moines death match? And it's just really like wholesome and everything there is
corn
provided
at each other.
Yeah, corn and like props from the local diner. I just think that would be nice. So I don't know. I just feel like I get a lot of the criticism has been like this reign hasn't felt as important enough as the payoff and the build to the reign were. But I just feel like running back a Texas death match right after the Lance Archer. I mean, we've had a defense in between, but like essentially one opponent ago feels a little redundant. But as soon as I thought that, I was like, you know what's going to happen though? This match is going to be incredible and I will be eating my words. So there's that part of it too, me admitting that. But their first match I thought was fantastic. I'm really looking forward to this. And we don't often get a story where they're like running back the same feud for a title so quick. So this hasn't been true with Adam Page though, because he did that with Danielson. So I take that back too. But either way, I'm looking very, very forward to this. I think it'll be a great match. And it seems like if you're going to run something like this back, doing it on Battle of the Belts, which isn't an actual pay-per-view, is a good place to do it. So just have like a blow off there.
But they're not doing, see, that was going to be my criticism. They're not doing this at Battle of the Belts. They're doing this on Friday night. So that was going to be my one criticism here is, how are you not putting the championship title on Battle for the Belts? I mean, my only guess is that Rampage will be live on Friday night because they're taping Battle of the Belts the same night. And then they're going to air Battle of the Belts Saturday. My guess is they don't want the spoiler out there of what happens in the world title match. But still, part of me is like, come on, it's your world championship. How is that not on the Battle of the Belts? But I guess we're nitpicking.
Yeah. I actually think I know why, but I can't say.
Okay.
Bitch.
It's being all cryptic. Schlong, anything you want
to...
Schlong,
One
anything?
thing to give me at... Go ahead, Brian. Go.
Children.
I know Matt's not here. We shouldn't act like children. The resident child is out. We should have a nice adult show.
You know, this is exactly what he wants when he's not here.
I know.
He wants us
Chaos.
to devolve
Cats and dogs
into
living together.
Yeah, some sort of Lord of the Flies situation where we're all just eating each other. Schlong, anything you want to add here?
So the match was good. Obviously, Christian is still such a good worker. Like Kate said, he's such a solid hand. He has been doing great things in the back with Jungle Boy and all. They've said it. Jungle Boy's come out in interviews and said like he's really changed since Christian's been around. So there's value to guys like that beyond their in-ring stuff, but he's still great in-ring, and he's at a level where I expected Cole to win. But since Christian is a legend who can still go, you can never be 100% sure, because at any moment they can make something with Christian if they wanted to. Hell, they had him beat Kenny Omega to take the Impact title. No one saw that coming. So like there's a lot there. The post stuff I liked. Listen, you knew Redragon, as they're properly pronounced, was going to come down and attack. So I fully expected. What I liked was Cole hopping on the mic when Page was coming down. You see it sometimes, and I always dig it when like the heel's like, whoa. I don't actually want to fight because it's such a heel move. And then Hangman sounded great in his pissed off anger. Like he needs that. I'm with Kate. Another Texas death match just seems like wide. Now they've had a normal match, so I guess it's like if normal isn't enough, we go to the next level. But it just feels like they keep going. Like, and also let's be clear, Texas Deathmatch is just become their no DQ. Like, why would you stop calling these lights out? Stop calling them no DQ. Just call everything Texas Deathmatch, and we can move on, because that's just the title they like. But I do prefer. See, the problem, Kate, is if they start going by state or city by city, it's going to go into the territory of what WWE does around holidays. So, like when they do Halloween and they have candy bowls there, so if they did a Philadelphia death match, you just would have cheesesteaks they're throwing at each other.
I just mean I don't need back-to-back like death matches.
100%, not arguing that at all.
They did do a Chicago street fight, right? So they do sort of do the city type thing. It's a little different, but I think I'm with everything you guys are saying. I'm with Ryan, at least in thinking just the fact that, like, okay, you had your standard match at the pay-per-view. Now maybe this will be a blow off to cool this off for a while. So you do a Texas death match, right? We'll see what happens.
I mean, it makes sense, but I'm just like, they do like go to it a lot, especially it seems like in the Hangman feud. So now, in fairness, Hangman did have, I think Kate said it, had the classics with Danielson, so at least he has them under his belt, but just they need to get away from that a little bit.
Yeah,
that is a nit to be picked.
I don't disagree.
I like Eric F's suggestion of a Texas toast death match.
Ooh,
I love Texas toast.
Like thick ass bread in your death match.
Here's a hot take. I like Texas toast, but like, you ever see like places will make burgers with Texas toast? Don't prefer that.
Yeah, no.
Really?
on
No,
Texas
that
toast.
does. Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with that.
It'd have to be a very specific sandwich, not even a burger. Like, you'd have to have the right combination of everything for me to even want to try it.
Yeah, like I've seen like burgers like a barbecue, pepper jack, frizzled onions on Texas toast. I'm like, it's just too fucking much. And usually that Texas toast, not as good.
That's what I'm saying. So no.
And I'll throw this out there because Ryan, I think you brought up the like lights out. Just call everything a no DQ or something like that. I actually don't mind the lights out matches because they're unsanctioned, and it gives an opponent, or it gives a loser something to hang over the other person's head. Like, hey, you might have beat me, but my record doesn't show that. So, you never beat me according to my record.
Adam Cole, he did that. He managed to himself. I forgot that was the stipulation on lights out. So ignoring lights out, it should either be Texas. Lights out could still be its own thing, but everything else just feels like they named 6 different kinds of matches, and half of them are just the same thing.
Yep. No, I agree. I totally agree with you.
Also,
So, guys,
every Malachi Black match is a lights out match, really.
Yeah.
Turning off the lights all the time with them.
They go off, they go on, they go off again.
They go off when they're in the ring.
That's right.
People are
Then
debuting.
they're gone, when they're back, then they're off, and they're back.
Saving that
It's
electrician.
It's exhausting.
It's a lot.
Moving on from this, we go straight to the debut of Samoa Joe in AEW versus Max Caster in an Owen Hart Foundation tournament qualifying match. I don't think anybody thought Caster was going to come out of this victorious in Joe's first match. So Joe does win by pinfall with the Muscle Buster to qualify for the tournament. And post-match, Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt appear on the Titantron. Lethal says his new outlook is to do and say what he wants, and he's glad because for months he had tried to call Joe and got nothing. But I guess Joe only answers for billionaires because it sure seems like his phone's working since he's in AEW, and they should call him the Samoan Gold Digger. The worst part is that if Lethal knew he was coming, he'd still have rolled out the red carpet for him. And then Sanjay points out that that he still can. And Jay says next week in New Orleans, he'll give him a present that he'll never forget. So, Ryan, I'm going to go to you first here to get your thoughts on the match and also the post-match stuff, because this ties directly back to the Supercard, right? So this was like what I was saying before. Having done Supercard the way they did it, they're able to kind of keep Ring of Honor present in everybody's mind on AEW television, almost like a holdover until they get everything figured out. I thought it worked pretty naturally here. What did you think?
So, first of all, Max Caster's rap, I really enjoyed it this week.
Mm-hmm.
When he has a good one, he has a good one. And I liked the knock about like, hey, we were beating them in the ratings when he was champ. Like, I thought that was a nice little dig.
Mm-hmm.
I like Joe's reactions in the ring, being like, yeah. Joe's fantastic. I mean, his whole presentation is just amazing. And we haven't even gotten to me, his best quality, which is his mic work. I think he might be one of the best all mic guys they have, and they have some really good ones now, but he's just so good. The match was fun. I saw Eric F. I think it was Eric F. Yeah, say in the chat he's always afraid when Joe hits the muscle buster after the accident with Tyson Kidd. I kind of feel the same way, but then I feel the same way when AJ Styles hits his move, Styles Clash, and it's like most of the time it goes well. So should I really it's a hard thing. I don't know how to feel about these moves. I just got to trust the wrestlers know what they're doing.
I mean, literally anytime somebody does a pile driver, everybody should hold their breath.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's a great move. I like seeing it again on television because it would have been outlawed on the other products. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm sorry, Ryan. I didn't mean to go cut you off.
No, it was a good point. It was outlawed, and it's fun to see. I hope the only thing I can say is, having not been a wrestler, having not trained as a wrestler, I'm just going to give faith that was truly a fluke event with Tyson Kidd and it's safe. That's all I can say, because I'm really hoping that they're smart enough not to use a dangerous move otherwise. Kind of like the Styles Clash is very safe if the opponent knows what they're like properly bumps for. So like, I'm hoping it's Yeah. That being said, the after was great too to tie it into ROH having Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal is a first great mini feud for Joe because you're not ready for him in a title picture yet, which clearly he said he wants. And if you're going to do something with ROH, you can throw him over there, throw him back. He's so useful. And again, whenever I'll always say it, whenever I speak of Jay Lethal, I'm only speaking of his own TV persona. I will speak of nothing else because I don't know the story. On TV, we're going to get a good match. Their match is going to be excellent. They have a lot of history. It's going to be entertaining. So I'm looking forward to it.
And speaking to some of that history, Kyle K. Sparks said Lethal needs to think twice here. He's 1-8 against Joe lifetime, including 4 to 5 title matches. I don't see this one ending well either. Good point, Kyle K. Sparks, but we're seeing a new Lethal here, right? And Kate, I sort of pat myself on the back Friday night because I called this with Jay Lethal. Do you like seeing this different heel Jay Lethal come out here against Joe?
Ish. I saw a tweet that said, I wouldn't really want to talk to Samoa, or if I was Samoa Joe, I wouldn't really want to talk to Jay Lethal for 4 months either. But I think it's really smart to turn him heel because the reactions are mixed. I think the match will be great. I think I agree with Ryan. From the second Samoa Joe was in there, I was just like, God, this feels right. Max Caster's rap and him just being like, he has a point, killed me. Like, there's so many things that Samoa Joe does well. Ryan alluded to his mic game, which is bar none, like, so fantastic. But the common thread with everything Joe does is it's so genuine, and like, we haven't really seen anybody give Max Caster that reaction, right? They either get offended or they kind of roll their eyes and no sell it. So, like, just agreeing with it, but not letting it get in your head and kicking the guy's ass anyway is a real fun way to go about things. I think Joe looked really good. I agree that move is a scary one, but like, Sting's career ended on a weird sunset bomb or whatever, like, and he said Seth Rollins was one of the best people he's ever been in the ring with. Like, sometimes shit just happens. So I just think that's the nature of the game, unfortunately. And obviously you want to minimize stuff. AEW is definitely riskier in that. Like, they leave it up to the wrestlers to what they want to take and what they don't, which I think is smart. Like, it should kind of be up to wrestlers, but at the same point, they are taking more risks. So that is definitely something that also goes through my mind. I saw Edge take the Styles Clash this weekend, and my breath was being held because of the exact injury and the exact spot that is. That is terrifying. So those spots I think are always going to pop up. But I thought the match was fun. The post match is good. I don't really have a lot of nice things to say about Jay Lethal other than that he's very good in the ring. So I'll just leave it at that, because the more that I learn about him, the less I like. But I think that the match itself will be great, and the promo that he gave was one that made sense.
Well, we're going to eventually get to Lethal and Samoa Joe, and we'll see what happens next week in New Orleans. Yes, Schlong.
Just, I saw a comment. I'm trying to find. Here it is. Matthew Plus, Kate's arch nemesis from her other shows, was trying to figure out how they'll get Samoa Joe his eventual loss in the Hart Cup. Can't see the problem with that, Matthew, is we don't know who's in it. I don't think we've seen the full field. I agree with you. He's probably not going to win. I don't think he needs it. But that is actually entirely dependent on who the field is. Once we see the layout of the field, we can kind of make a prediction, because I'm hoping it's to someone who really gets a huge bump from beating Samoa Joe. They're usually pretty good at that. So that's my hope. But right now, it's impossible to predict when you don't know the field. With actually either of these, we're starting to get the women's a little bit, but we're still not sure.
I also think it doesn't necessarily have to be that. Like, he could just lose to Danielson, and that could be a feud.
Yeah, but he's in the Owen Cup, so you're gonna wonder, like, do you see him winning it, or do you think, like, that? I guess I don't see him winning that. I think the person who wins the Owen Cup is going to be a little younger, who doesn't have the accolades of a Joe, because that's going to be a major thing that person can carry forward.
Man, that's tough because like there is part of me that just thinks it should. Yeah, I don't know.
Let me see the field first. Let me see who
gotta
they
see the field, yeah.
because it could be all well-established guys, and I could be like, well, then what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, but like Danielson winning the Owen Cup feels like that would make sense. Like if it was someone extremely technical.
That's true too. Like if you're gonna make it yearly, the best way to make it matter is to have someone like Danielson, Samoa Joe. Yes, Anthony.
What about Daniel Garcia?
Ooh.
Think about this. Daniel Garcia's technical, but then you can use it and say, you know, I'm the best sports entertainer in AEW, just like Owen was the best sports entertainer. You know what I mean?
Like, God, the heat, yeah, and it's still a star maker. Like that's such a good call.
Could be Garcia, but it is true. We don't know the full field. They haven't released the field yet. They're still doing some of these qualifying matches. It seems like they're doing them more for the women's side of the tournament, which I also kind of don't mind because it guarantees we see some more women's matches and also maybe some women who we don't normally see on TV and or even the darks. We'll get there, Kate. I know what you're smiling about. We'll get there. But yeah, so I mean, we'll see what the fields look like. I think they have another couple weeks maybe of some of these qualifiers, and then they're going to start the actual tournament in Long Island. So they'll have to give fields at some point in the next coming weeks. So we'll stay tuned for that. We move on into the Blackpool Combat Club getting viewed backstage, and Regal says he's really excited and feels sorry for Trent Beretta because we're going to get a match with Trent and Danielson. But Yuta has to impress him, and he's already impressed Danielson. He has to impress Jon Moxley next because Yuta's going to have a match with Moxley. And Mox says the forecast for Friday is bones cracking like thunder and raining blood. So Mox is looking to put a hurting on Yuta. We'll talk a little bit more about Yuta as we go on through the night. But the next match we get is Captain Shawn Dean versus Shawn Spears. And we get MJF on commentary for this. My favorite part of this whole thing, and I didn't realize it at first, and then I think in the second match, I realized that they had all of the Wardlow posters up at ringside, and they were gigantic this week. Which I thought was a great touch. Last week, they were just regular kind of like 8.5 by, 10 sheets of paper or whatever a sheet of paper is. This week, they were poster sized on all the barricades, which I thought was great. But as we go through the match, Wardlow does try to make an attempt to get through the ring to MJF at commentary. Doesn't happen. But during that, Shawn Spears gets distracted. Shawn Dean is able to steal a win with a schoolboy pin, and MJF and Spears, sorry,
You're on the
make
natural
their way off.
disaster kick, buddy. I get it.
I guess
you're seeing this man behind me, and all you're thinking is Storm.
Maybe I'm thinking of Tony Storm, but.
Whew.
Yeah, so Wardlow plays distraction again. He doesn't get to even get close to MJF before security gets him out of there, but it's still a distraction. So Shawn Dean now has wins over, and they made it very clear during this match, wins over MJF, and now a win over Shawn Spears. I think he was 3-2 on the year, and now he's 4-2, and 2 of those wins are over guys in the Pinnacle. So I thought this continued the story, right? Like we need to see what's going to happen with Wardlow and everybody in the Pinnacle and MJF especially. We're building to that. But I thought it was a fun match, and they let Shawn Dean come away with the steal. Kate, what did you think about the match?
Well, I did just want to say one thing about your William Regal promo, and he said he was off his nut, which I just thought was amazing.
Nice. I knew he said something weird like that, but I couldn't remember.
I just love William Regal so much. But I thought the match was good enough. I think it's a really, really fun storytelling device. They kind of gifted Wardlow with the thing that Lance Archer used to do, which is just throwing motherfuckers out of the way. His just all happened to be security, but really, really fun. This is just great. Like there was nothing really wonderful And then the match that I would want to point to, but I just really appreciate Sean Spears has his own entrance and has been repackaged, which I think is really good. Him having his own identity is something that I think needs to be important in the Pinnacle. B, MJF on commentary was just so great. When Excalibur did his plug for whatever that Who's the Rat in the Kitchen thing is, he's like, why is it always when I'm out here you're plugging rats? Like, it just killed me. So great. He also
and Shivani backed it up too. I'm sorry, Kate. Shivani said the rat's in the kitchen on Thursday night, rat at the table on Wednesday night.
So great.
Fantastic.
He had also tweeted, he's in Boston, and he said smells like racism and old coffee beans. And I was like, I thought this man was supposed to be a heel, but that's fucking great. And I loved Wardlow. He's just getting these huge reactions now. Now that this story is finally underway, we saw Wardlow give his first real promo. Like, people are really starting to fall in love with him, and I just love the reactions that he's getting. Still, got to buy into the trope that there's just cameramen everywhere that security and Wardlow are, but I can forgive it. This is fantastic. Sean Dean being the one to get their goat again is hilarious to me. And the fact that MJF wants another piece of Sean Dean, I think, is great. So I'm just excited that this story is moving forward in a logical way, because I actually felt like the TNT stuff got a little bit muddy with that. So now that hump has been kind of cleared, I think that's really good. And the promo that we get later with MJF and the television is hilarious, but we can talk about that in a bit.
And Kate, I'll at least say this. They must have been listening to us last week, because I felt like they did a better job this week about the cameras backstage. Excalibur was like, we're getting word about something going on backstage, and they had the camera going to where that issue was. So it wasn't just like, hey, the camera's magically there and, Wardlow is here. They actually had a camera moving around, saw all the destruction, and then they kind of went away and went back to it. And that's when Wardlow kind of made his entrance. So I felt like they did a better job of it this week, and not just being like the camera's magically where Wardlow is entering the building, So if anything, I felt like they did a better job with it this week. I have to give them credit for that, because they were clearly listening to the A show of the Shining Wizards Network. It's the Mark Order Podcast. Schlong, anything you want to add here?
So a couple things. One, I see in the chat, they're wondering what Sean Dean does outside of wrestling. He not only does he do community outreach, he also handles what they call the extras, which is all the indie talent they bring in for Dark and Elevation. He actually books a lot of them. He's the one who goes out and finds them. And if it's not that, he is the one who coordinates them when they come in. So that's why he's there every week, because that's actually a really big role for them. So he has a pretty important non-wrestling job. I usually hate distraction finishes. That's one of my least favorite. And this type of distraction finish where the guy is just there, this is one of the few exceptions, because it feeds into a big story with Sean Dean that they're telling, not necessarily Sean Dean, but Sean Dean's a perfect guy to do it, because he has the MJF win. Now he has the Sean Spears win. It's given him a nice little boost while continuing a good story. And I understand why you're afraid of Wardlow breaking in, because he will interfere in your match. He does not care. I get I never understood why someone stopped watching, got distracted by someone's music playing. Just keep wrestling. But if a guy is literally coming in who doesn't care about security so much that he's throwing them every which way, then I would worry about him too if I'm Sean Spears, because he hates you. So that is one of the few times I like a distraction finish, and it made sense, and it helps Sean Dean out. And I wonder what they're going to do with him and MJF next week. I would be okay if they have MJF lose again, as long as it's a ridiculous finish. I'd also be okay if he wins. I get that story has to end eventually, but the whole thing is just very, very good. I love the entire story they're telling. And the greatest day will be the day that Wardlow gets his All Elite graphic, which I now predict will happen in on screen.
I think so too.
Yeah. I think Wardlow will be in the ring. MJF will have said, "That's it, you're fired." And I think you'll have Tony Schiavone, because he hates MJF, come up and be like, "We have breaking news," and then on screen you'll see Wardlow is All Elite. Also,
that would be the best way to play it out. Yeah, go ahead.
You called it a Titantron, and I know why. And I'm not. Is it a Titantron if it's not in WWE? I'm very curious about that.
I don't know if I said Titantron. I might have just said Tron, but I don't know. I don't know what the proper word is. I think everybody just calls it a Titantron now.
No, but it's Band-Aid isn't.
Heard it.
It's like Band-Aid isn't actually a Band-Aid.
Right.
It's a bandage. Tissue, tissue isn't a
Kleenex.
Kleenex isn't a tissue. Like
a Xerox
so
isn't a copy.
Yeah. But I just heard you say, and I'm like, I guess that probably is a WWE specific term because Titan Enterprises. So that's just a weird thing I happen to notice because it never mattered before. This is the first time a company's had one that's of like equal size.
Yeah.
It's just a Contron.
Yeah, I like that. The Contron. The Cocontron.
That sounds like the Jericho, whatever, 5,000. The Contron, 5,000.
There you go.
I'll tell you guys who I thought the hero was in this entire match and segment. That last security guard who got thrown into the gate. That guy is a hero. Holy moly, that looked bad. I mean, not looked bad, but it looked like very painful. So congratulations to that guy. He had his 5 minutes of fame and he's probably paying for it. But
they should have made Samoa Joe one of MJF's security guards at some point.
Oh man,
I can't. That's gonna be amazing whenever that makes its way onto screen. Oh my god,
I just hope that when they're walking down a hallway and MJF starts to mouth off to him and Samoa Joe just goes
oh
yeah, just shoves him. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Moving on, we get the best friends interviewed backstage, and Chuck Taylor talks to Wheeler Yuta and says they've let him crash on his couch, and he even paid for the tights that Yuta's wearing. There's no reason he can't be the best wrestler while being part of the best friends. But Trent says, whoa, hold on a minute. I don't like him. And he tells him to look what he does to Danielson, and maybe he can learn something. And Trent puts his hands on Wheeler, and Wheeler takes offense to that. Chuck also then goes to kind of hold Wheeler back, and Wheeler says, get your hands off me. So Wheeler, Yuta, feeling a little big in his britches, but he does own that pure belt. So, again, guys, the only reason I'm going to pause here is, Ryan, again, this is I feel like a moment where this, this is keeping the Ring of Honor product alive on television, right? That's why you give Wheeler the belt. Yeah.
I like Josh Woods. I hope he gets signed when they have an ROH deal and he can compete.
Ditto.
But right now, that belt would be sitting at home if it wasn't on Wheeler Yuta. Not even if they sign Josh Woods. They don't have a story for him right now. You'd be really trying to force him into a story you don't have, where they have this natural story for Wheeler Yuta. I also like the idea that because he's turning heel-ish going with Danielson, the kind of Danielson's heel. They're giving him a reasonable explanation in the way that Trent Beretta treats him, but you're also letting him be heel because he's being a dick to Chuck, who kind of goes out and goes like, you slept on my couch. I paid for your trunks. Like, I've done everything for you. Like, that makes him a heel. So I like the story they're telling there. There's a lot of depth to it.
And Kate, again, I don't mean to, I did it Saturday night. I had to pat myself on the back a little bit for calling this with Wheeler. Maybe he's going to use this belt as a reason to get in the Blackpool Combat Club. I don't see him obviously beating Mox in their match, but I think that this gives him a little bit of credence, and maybe he can work his way into that club. Regal did say earlier that Yuta has really impressed me, but he's got to impress Moxley next week. So I think they're sort of working that in. But is this sort of like heel Yuta working for you, or has he been such a babyface kind of his whole career that this is hard to believe?
No, I actually am blown away by how much I like it. I had concerns about whether that was going to be something I could get into because he is just pretty lovable, I think. But ever since he kind of said the line of, I came here to be the best wrestler, not to be the best friend, I'm in. You've completely sold me because it's 100% justified. And again, so much of this heel Danielson run has worked for me because Danielson is legitimately one of, if not the best active wrestler in the world. So it just is completely justified. Like, it makes so much sense. That's what I'm also loving about the Jericho Appreciation Society stuff, is Jericho legitimately is a really great sports entertainer, right? Like, I like when things play off of the truth, and Wheeler, the way he's been able to do it with his attitude and not his words has really impressed me. Like, back to the I mean, the Regal slap spot was all about Regal hitting the hell out of him, right? But the way he snapped back from that, like, such great work. I'm really, really impressed by that. I think Mox and Wheeler is going to be great. I think you might even see, like, Trent maybe cost him. Like, maybe we protect it in that way. You mentioned before that they announced Trent and Danielson. That's going to be a phenomenal match. I look very much forward to it, but it's just such a great example of how losses don't have to be detrimental at all if the story is right. This is maybe one of the strongest examples I've ever seen of it in modern wrestling, like where the loss is still such a win because it keeps the story advancing in such a great way. And you would expect this guy to lose to the people he's going up again. Like, what a perfect story this has been. And it's just crazy that, like, they kind of, like, hinted at this thing and people were like, oh, maybe Danielson and Mox will face each other. And then William Regal comes in and all of a sudden we're here. Like, this is incredible. So this, I think, is my favorite story running on AEW right now. I'm really, really liking this.
And you know what's going to be fantastic is that I think eventually, right, somewhere down the line, we know that there's going to be an issue between Danielson and Moxley. And eventually we will have them, blow it off.
Sure.
So it will be fantastic when it gets there, but I'm loving every minute until we get to that point and they kind of explode this. It has worked so perfectly, and I can't wait to see what happens once they get past Yuta, right? What's after Wheeler Yuta? And I also sort of love, just back to Yuta and having that pure belt. I love the fact that Wheeler has that belt and now is sort of like, it's added another level of cockiness to him. And it's funny because it seems like with Ring of Honor and that pure title, that almost seems to go hand in hand with that belt, right? Like, anybody who seems to have that belt seems to have that air of cockiness, right? Like, I'm a fucking pure wrestler. Like, I have to be the shit to own this.
It's what I love about it so much is that it's a belt that's based around ability more than anything. Like, it's fun to have something where the paramount story is the ability. Like, what a fun, different type of division. And what you said about Josh Woods before, not only would that belt be shelved and not only would he not have anything to do, there's an incredibly natural story if they do hire him to say, like, you could just run that back so quickly. Like, you don't know what that belt even means or whatever. Like, I think there's so many great things that you could do with the ROH people that lost should they get hired and they just immediately have something to jump back into. That's kind of the benefit of a quality loss. But
for sure.
Yeah, I love that about the pure division. It's just like, it's the arrogance of being able to wrestle under the most technical circumstances or whatever is so much fun.
Yeah.
And it gives an out for losses.
Big time.
If you lose in a non-pure match, it's such an easy out of, like, well, this wasn't pure. You had to use your closed fist and your dirty tactics, and if it was pure, you couldn't beat me. It's that's, to me, it's I know I don't want it to be a crossover belt when ROH starts up full time. I want it to only belong to ROH, but it's the one thing I wouldn't mind AEW stealing from ROH, to have their own pure division, so that, like, once a year you could have, like,
pure versus pure or whatever.
Yeah, because it's such a like, again, it's a best viewed on TV thing, but when a pure match is good, it's very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Those pure matches, certainly, we talked about it, Ryan. Those pure matches are way better on TV than live because you get to see so much more, and commentary helps. But and also just thinking about this, we're talking about the pure belt. The other things that we don't know what's going on with those 6-man titles in Ring of Honor. They didn't do anything with them at this show. My thought is because TK doesn't want to introduce 6-man belts, right? Because maybe AEW doesn't have them, right? Maybe they're working their way towards that. So, there's a lot of things that's still super exciting. That's why it keeps coming up with Ring of Honor. It's like how many ways they can go with this. It's just crazy. It's fun to think about. Anyway, moving on from this backstage segment, we get Sammy and Tay do their gimmick with the picture-in-picture and the title cards. The only reason I bring it up is because this is where they kind of set the precedent that Sammy doesn't care. Not that he doesn't care, but he's not coming for that TNT belt. They just want revenge. And this, Kate, is why I was talking about Frankie and those rankings. Maybe it makes sense for Frankie to be there because maybe Frankie will come out and say, I want to be the next challenger for that TNT belt with Scorpio. First of all, we know they know how to work together. If Sammy is not going for that belt immediately again, we need somebody to go after that TNT belt. So Frankie makes perfect sense. That's the only reason I bring up the cue card gimmick. I don't have to talk about the other bullshit they did. So let's just keep going.
It's also just a weird cut away too.
It is. And they're just kind of annoying me together now. The Spanish god and the Brazilian goddess. I wish they would have just let Tay kind of continue to do her own thing.
Yeah, I just don't like on
Well, in fairness to them, they clearly decided we lost Cody and Brandy for this storyline. And I get it. I don't get Dan Lambert, but I get you want Paige Van Zandt involved because she is someone I think can be a huge star for them down the road. So they unfortunately just stuck the next couple that was making waves into the story. And that kind of sucks for them because it puts them in a no-win situation. People were annoyed with them for stupid reasons, and now they're getting annoyed with them for legitimate reasons. Like it's not helping them at all.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Ryan. It makes sense why they're involved with this. It just, it is.
They should have just killed the storyline, but yeah.
It doesn't excite me. Kate, this is probably another exciting moment in the night for you. We get the clip of Eddie Kingston, Ortiz, and Santana beating up the Jericho Appreciation Society. That's where they smash the monitor and the Jericho Appreciation Society take off in their car that Hager's the wheelman for. And then Eddie comes down to the ring.
In a Kenny Powers jersey.
Yes, in a Churros jersey, which I thought was fantastic. And he says Jericho's a two-faced coward and says from now on it's on site. If he's with his wife and kids, he'll still attack him. And that goes for 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. He says, Garcia, I know where you live. I'll come to your house. Hager, doesn't matter. Keep running. Santana calls them the Jericho Bitch Society, says they better bring the hardest fight because this is what they do. And then Ortiz says that to see them in New Orleans next week so they can have a 6-man. Either way, it's on site from this point on. And Kingston says they're going to beat ass like junkyard dog. So Kate, we don't have to go in depth here, but you had to love seeing Eddie come out. And we're clearly lining up. This isn't done. And I don't even think after a 6-man that they have next week, this is done. I think we're all sort of hoping that we see a 5-on-5 with some LAX assistance, homicide. So what'd you think about this?
Shocking to nobody. I loved this, of course. This was sincerely, though, great. Like, Kingston just has a way of connecting with me and the people. I think of everything feels so natural, and he just makes it all so personal and important. Just absolutely loved it. And Santana and Ortiz are great too. I think this is a great way to continue the feud. I like that this wasn't at the expense of Eddie Kingston still not winning the big one. Like, he got his victory and this is continuing. Still feeling good, still feeling natural. That's a tricky thing to pull off when, like, the babyface got the thing that he was going after. To keep a feud continuing and it feeling interesting and logical, not always easy to do, but because Santana and Ortiz have been in the fold, that makes it a much more natural story moving forward. So I'm a huge fan of this. I think this is exactly what I needed to get Jericho back on my good side a little bit. I was getting real fatigued by Dad Rock Jericho. I'm loving the Jericho Appreciation Society, and this just feels like a good feud for everybody involved. I agree with you that it would be really fun to have Homicide and like get a 5-on-5 situation going, maybe like another blood and guts situation. But this was just so fun. Anybody wearing a Kenny Powers jersey, a Churros jersey, is going to win me over. When it's Eddie Kingston, even better. But Mark Cole said it in the chat, this entire hour of Dynamite was made just to pop me. It kind of was. This was so up my alley. But what a fun feud that doesn't feel like it's run its course yet because everything is so new with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Some of the stable stuff gets stretched thin. This feels like it's right in its prime stage, and I'm really into it. I'm loving it.
I will say this. Kyle K. Sparks said he loves the idea of Kingston, Santana, Ortiz. This needs to be over as quickly as possible so we can move them toward their long-deserved tag title run. I said the same thing last week, Kyle. I think we're on the same page. I will deal with this because they've been pulling this off so well. So I look forward to whatever happens next week. Kyle K. Sparks also said 6-man tag partner. So I do look forward to this match next week because I think it'll be fantastic. We're going to get Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz versus Garcia, Jericho, and Hager. So that has a lot of potential to be a really fun match. Schlong, anything you want to add about this in-ring promo? It's okay if
Not
you
really.
don't. If you want to
No,
add
the only thing
something.
I'm gonna say, and it's really quick, is just I loved Eddie Kingston's laugh before he said, "I know where you live, Daniel Garcia." Just was awesome.
It makes
but no,
it
Kate,
so fucking like creepy. That laugh, that maniacal little laugh, he does that a lot. It's like
exactly.
damn.
You know what it reminds
no.
me of, Kate? It reminds me of being in Baltimore and hearing an insane man cackle in the shower to himself. That's what it sounds like to me.
And before bed.
Before bed, yes.
We
Cackling.
just cackled and asked us if we had dreams. Oh man.
That's right. Do you guys have dreams?
You guys have dreams.
Oh man, moving on from this, we get another interview. Shivani has Jade Cargill and Smart Mark Sterling on the stage, and Jade introduces her baddie section, and they show the women in their seats ringside. And Cargill tells us that a baddie is a woman who knows her value and knows herself. And then Sterling says it was hard to find good-looking people in Boston, but Jade managed to pull it off. And then Jade says that Marina Shafir may be a badass, but she's no baddie. And then she calls her trash and says she's tired of all these MMA losers coming into her ring on her show, which did get a pop from the crowd. If you didn't notice, when she said, I'm tired of these MMA people coming in, crowd popped for it. So I guess maybe I'm not the only person who's like, do I really need to keep seeing MMA people on TV? But Mark Sterling calls Shafir the problem. Jade says she's the problem solver. So we're still lining up this Marina Shafir. She's in the rankings now, so I don't know if that's supposed to move the needle. Again, they're just, to me, this whole thing is a little flawed because they're not highlighting Marina Shafir. They should be highlighting Marina to make you want to care about this match. That's really my only beef here. The rest of this was fantastic, I thought, with the baddie section, right? Like explaining it. And then, of course, saying it's hard to find good-looking people in Boston, but somehow Jade managed to pull it off. So I just thought that was fun. Quick segment, continuing the feud. If anybody wants to add anything, it's totally up to you.
Does that, between the baddie section and the reaction that Jade gets because everybody either wants to be her or be inside of her, I think that they might have to turn her face when she drops this title. She's just become very, very likable. I think she could play a cocky face really, really well, but I think it's starting to turn into like sincere love, and people are starting to lose the play long effect. The MMA line, there's nothing an AEW fan wants more than pro wrestling. They don't want MMA, they don't want sports entertainment, they want pro wrestling. So that felt very, very face to me. And Marina Shafir also kind of reads more as a heel, so I'm just intrigued to see what happens here.
Hey, Kate, cut the shit.
Oh, cut the shit.
I'm sorry, I just love that line. Every time she says that, I cackle to myself. It is my favorite thing she does.
I also love when she said to Smart Mark, like, give me space or get out of my shot, whatever she said at the end.
I can't wait. And I don't mean like, I like Smart Mark, and I've actually grown to like him as part of her, because like it's been the day she gets rid of him, though, I will be laughing my ass off because you know it's going to be epic.
Oh,
if she keeps kissing women and saying things like MMA needs to go away, they're going to have to turn her face because...
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. If you're going to make out with hot women, people are going to like you. It's just how that works.
Plus, like, she's the kind of person you want to put out on your community outreach. And listen, you could do that with heel. People understand kayfabe is kayfabe, but it's so much easier when they're the face of your stuff. So,
absolutely. Two things of note here. One, I forgot to bring it up before when we were talking Rampage. Kate said, for some reason, Kate said sports entertainment, and it hit my brain. I popped again for the sports entertainers of the week on Rampage that
So
Jericho
great.
said was.
So
They said
fucking funny.
with the win over Fuego and Dark Order, the House of Black are the sports entertainers of the week. It's just fantastic. Fucking love it.
So good.
And do you know in my house what got the pop during this Jade Cargill segment?
Jade, in your pants?
No. It was Mrs. Money said, I love her glasses. I hope they sell those.
They're great. They were
Those
great.
that bitch glass. Well, they weren't really glasses, right? But they were just said that bitch on some frames.
They should sell those.
Fantastic.
Anything she does, they should sell because people will buy it.
Oh yeah, they were fantastic. I said immediately, like they should sell those. Like they would be foolish not to. But that was the big pop during that segment in my house on the couch. We also got MJF and Sean Spears backstage, and MJF challenges Sean Dean to a match next week. We had kind of mentioned that earlier. And he says he's going to injure him worse than Combat ever did. And my favorite part of this segment was as he was leaving, he said, will somebody fix this monitor? This place is a circus.
So good.
Fantastic. After this, we also got Butcher and the Blade versus the Hardys. Now, this was a tables match, and this is going to be my nitpick here as Ryan does the monkey a la Jeff Hardy.
Terrible impression.
No, that was accurate. That was pretty accurate, if you ask me.
I can do the Bushwhackers.
Yeah, it's just a little. Yeah, the Bushwhackers is no head movement, and if you're going to do the Jeff Hardy, it's a lot of head movement.
Yeah.
So guys, this was a tables match, and the Hardy Boys, or I'm sorry, the Hardys. They're not the Hardy Boys. Can't do that.
The Hardly Boys. Ooh, I got a clue.
Oh, I got a raging clue. The Hardys win over the Butcher and the Blade. After the fact, after the match, the Andrade family office makes their entrance to try to come down the ramp, and that's when Sting comes in to try to even things up. As he advances, he takes out Private Party with the bat, and as he advances, Jose tries to get involved and kind of steps back, and then Andrade pulls the bunny in front of him, and Sting allows them both to pass uninjured. So clearly Sting is here to help, and this whole thing is not over. Guys, here's my one question for you. To me, a tables match is you go through a table and the match is over. Ryan, I know what you're going to say because Mrs. Money said, did you tell Ryan what we said here? Or did you Mrs. Money goes, did you update the Twitter with what we just said? And I said, no, I don't touch our Twitter. That is Ryan's domain. And she goes, okay, so then we're not the only ones who think this. So we thought, like any other tables match, you go through a table, match is over. Because as soon as Jeff Hardy went through a table, I said, why are they continuing this match? Turns out this was a table elimination match. And for some reason, everybody could still be involved because it's no DQ. And apparently, if you're eliminated, you can still win the match for your team. Because they won off of a Jeff Hardy swanton bomb through the table on the Blade. So my question here, guys, is what the fuck are we doing? Like, this was so confusing.
So you nailed it. It's confusing. And my tweet, which apparently you guys directly agree with, this was very easy to fix had they just 3 seconds of time said, the way this is a tag team tables match, the way our tag team tables match work is both guys have to be put through a table. You're not eliminated or anything. It's just both guys at some point have to be put through a table.
Right.
Everything else makes sense then. Because then the announcer can say, oh, Jeff has been put through a table. Only Matt needs to be now. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, but doesn't mean the other guys aren't involved. But when you say elimination, the other guy should be gone. So it would have been just much easier to be like, and you could have put up a little graphic. Because it's very simple to understand. Because this tag team, each member of the team has to go through a table. It could be a separate time. Doesn't matter. But by the minute you say elimination, you've just made a clusterfuck of the rules. So I really had to ignore any semblance of rules to enjoy this match, which I did, but only because I let logic go bye-bye.
I didn't like this match.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I didn't like it. I felt like the lack of clarity in the rules made it so confusing. And then even with the rules, I think they're stupid fucking rules. Like how many, there's just going to be a bunch of tables and I think that is a stupid thing. That you have to put them both through a table. I didn't feel like it was agented very well. I feel like it was weird to have Jeff go out so early. And it wasn't until after he was eliminated I understood the rules of the match. This sucked. I did not like very much of it. I'm not even like that into this feud, to be honest. Like this isn't for me right now, but I just feel like they did themselves a disservice in the way that this match was structured and the lack of clarity around the rules. So I didn't like not knowing the rules. I felt like the rules were stupid. And on top of that, I'm just like, why are you taking out Jeff so early and then the Swanton Bomb? Like, it was just weird. It was weird.
Yeah, I mean, again, traditionally at tables matches, anybody goes through the table
That's it.
in an offensive move, right? It's over. That's the end.
So all you had to say was, we do it a little different. In our tag tables match, both guys have to go through.
Right.
And
Yeah,
everyone
but
would have been
my
like,
point is that's still stupid.
I'm not saying it's not stupid, but I'm saying at least there's logic. You may not like it, and I'm fine with that. That I'm not arguing, but at least then apparently Kyle's saying that Justin Roberts announced it, but I didn't hear it. So and I'm okay that it's still stupid, but it's stupid in a logical way. But the way they did it, calling eliminations and all, just had everybody fucking confused as to why is this? And what made it worse was that Jeff Hardy disappeared for a while, whereas the Butcher never disappeared.
Yeah.
Right.
So it did seem like Jeff went to the back while the other guy hung around, and you had to only see Jeff through certain camera cuts. So it had this weird feeling of did the good guy go to the back, but the bad guy stay out? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And really, it could have been avoided just by not doing any of it, just not eliminating Jeff in the beginning and having him end with a swanton at the end. How fucking hard would that have been?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I am totally with you. It just was clunky, and I think none of us are idiots. I say that politely. Well, none of us are. The guy who's missing, we can't speak about. But
correct. Yeah.
I think we all know what's going on, right? This is nostalgia, right? You just got Jeff Hardy back. You just got Jeff Hardy in. You want to see him go through tables. You want to see him go through off ladders. That's what the nostalgia fans want.
They do this with everyone. They bring in, not most everyone they bring in. They give them a short run doing something that doesn't really matter before they give them an actual story that they sink their teeth into. They're doing it with Swerve. Actually, no, Swerve's story and Keith Lee's I really like. But look at Punk's. Punk's first run was just matches.
Yeah.
But then you give the story. So I'm that's what this feels like to me. Is you're right. Give the nostalgia pop, go through some tables, and then soon we're gonna have these two actually get into a story. And I'm looking forward to the story because they're creative guys. So I'm assuming it's gonna be something ridiculous and insane, but in a good way. But we just don't need to have this match again.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. So moving past that clusterfuck, we get Christian Cage and Jurassic Express backstage. Christian throws his bottle and storms off. He's really pissed about his match earlier. But Jungle Boy says that Red Dragon have been champions around the world, but here things are determined by your record. They're not good enough to challenge for the titles, but since they keep getting involved, they're going to oblige the Red Dragon and put the titles on the line next week. So we're going to get a title match for the tag titles, and we'll maybe blow this off and move on to another team. I don't know if anybody wants to talk about this. It was a rather quick thing.
Just that you called him the wrong name. It's Redragon.
Sorry, Redragon.
Thank
My
you.
apologies. And then we go to commercial and come back. There's some dueling promo video packages for Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa. We've talked about that ad nauseum, so we're not going in on that unless Kate wants a rant again for 45 minutes.
No, I'm very tired.
Okay. Shivani is backstage with Jamie Hayter and Tony Storm and says, thanks for no fisticuffs tonight. And Tony Storm offers a handshake, but Hayter swats the hand away and says,
give me a hot dog and a handshake.
Oh, I would take the hot dog. Forget the handshake.
Yeah, fuck that. Can't eat a handshake.
That's right.
Hot
And I
dogs
know
are
how
real
to,
too, not just
I-
honor.
I know how to eat a hot dog correctly.
Okay, all right. Moving on.
Boom. Haters. Excuse me. Hater says everyone loves Tony. Stops with her because she's the only one that deserves to win. And Storm says she's going to win, in so many words. So clearly they're kind of lining up these feuds as we get into the Owen Hart tournament, right? At some point they might, face each other. So I think they're starting to build this tournament up a little bit. And, it gets Tony Storm on your screen to remind you, hey, she's here now. So I think it
And
served its purpose.
real pretty.
Oh yeah, both of these ladies are gorgeous.
Ooh.
And both these ladies have great accents. I would just listen to them talk for hours because I love their accents.
How is there not a wrestler with a submission move called the thirst trap? I asked this on Twitter and I would like your thoughts.
Oh, well, you just gave somebody a free finishing name.
Right?
So
Well,
you really
I will
did.
say, Kate's giving away ideas today. She did that, and then earlier she gave, and I saw Allison K respond.
Yeah.
She gave the Hex a nice name of support, nice T-shirt design saying "Support Hex Workers."
Right? Wouldn't that
And
be so good?
It
Kate,
would.
this is
Allison
stuff you
K
need to be getting
responded.
paid for.
I know. I should be monetizing this.
My goodness. Guys, we go to our women's qualifying Owen Hart tournament match, and it's Hikaru Shida versus Julia Hart. And Julia Hart is with the eye patch again. She actually sends off the Varsity Blondes because she's doing some heelish shit, and they're kind of giving her crap. So she says, you know what, get out of here. Eventually, Shida wins by pinfall with the Falcon Arrow qualifying for the tournament. Post-match, Deeb tries to blindside Shida with a chair, but she's ready and meets her with the kendo stick, and there's a little stalemate here. So clearly, oh, Schlong, what happened to your eye? My goodness.
I got misted 6 months ago. Everyone else is fine, but I still struggle.
Okay, well, it's actually something that I wanted to talk about here. So clearly, just to wrap up, Shida and Deeb is still a thing, and maybe we'll see that come up in the tournament. Here's the thing I've got about the eye patch, guys. I think it was pretty clear that there was some paint underneath that eye patch tonight. I don't know if they were trying to hide it, but it wasn't being hidden. So I, again, still have hope that at some point she pulls this eye patch off and her eye is dead, and it's black or gray around it, a la Malachi Black. But as far as the match goes, Kate, what do you think about the match and the post-match here?
What you think about that?
I am a little bit torn because I feel like Shida should have no problem beating Julia Hart, but every other week on the show, I rant about how women don't get enough TV time. So the fact that I'm rooting for a shorter match seems wildly hypocritical. But you have the most dominant champion by their standards in AEW history, like struggling with the rookiest of rookies a little bit. She does really come a long way on her character work. I think like that's not getting enough love because she's just nowhere to be found so often. But like her in-ring storytelling has improved dramatically, I think. Especially as far as selling. Like she's never like weak in the ring, but we're starting to see the storytelling part of her. I think she's trying really hard to adapt to American television, start to come alive a little bit, and it's nice to see. This match was fine. It was nothing great, but Julia Hart's super green and held her own, so I think that's good. It's just weird because, like I said, like I feel like this should have been Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about, Ant. I don't know.
No. Go ahead, Kate. I was just making eyes at.
At Mr.
Schlong.
One Eye switching over here. Sure.
Yeah, something happened. It looks like now the other eye's affected. This is how you get pink eye, Schlong. You keep moving it from eye to eye.
It's gross.
Sorry, Kate. Go ahead.
Disgusting. Well,
Issue.
sometimes Ryan just feels like evil on the left side of his life, and then sometimes he feels evil on the right side of his life.
I actually could tell you what made the switch. The switch was pretty simple in the fact that I wanted to see which, like, I couldn't really see out of just my right eye, and I could see fine now out of my left. So I realized that my right eye prescription definitely needs to be fixed.
Kayfabe, bro.
I
No,
would
kayfabe is dead, but you don't have to piss on its grave, as Eddie Kingston says.
I would kayfabe it normally, but that was really bad. How bad my right eye is. That's a problem.
Fabe it. But yeah, it just feels like she just shouldn't be struggling with someone so new. But I also am constantly complaining that the women don't get enough time. So, but yeah, the match, there was nothing offensive in it, which is more than I can say for some of Julia Hart's matches. No offense to her, she's a baby at this, but it was perfectly fine. I hope we get a payoff with the Varsity Blonde soon with this whole eye patch situation.
Schlong, anything to add about Julia Hart's eye patch?
I don't know how she wrestles with it. Jesus Christ, that was tough. I honestly,
you know, I said the same thing, Schlong. I don't mean to cut you off. I said the same thing sitting on my couch. Is like, I was like, man, it can't be easy to be doing those fucking backflips and cartwheels with one eye covered, because I know my depth perception would be fucked. So to be doing that one-eyed can't be easy.
No, I mean, it's definitely like, for the 30 seconds I had it in, I know what the fuck is going on, but she has been having matches on Dark and Elevation where she's been having a lot more attitude. So I think that's even why they let her hang around with Ashita a bit more, to be like, this isn't, she's like, the evil is almost improving her a bit. Like, she's getting a bit more aggressive. She's willing to do a few more things that she wouldn't have been willing to do before. So I want to see, it needs to have a satisfying conclusion, but I'm willing to ride it out.
Well, we'll see what happens with Julia Hart, but we go backstage where Swerve is being interviewed, and he says he and Keith Lee didn't have the best week, but for now he's going to get ready because there's stuff he needs to do. And as he goes into his locker room, Starks and Hobbs chase him to attack. That's when Keith Lee comes in to even the odds. We get a brawl between the groups, and then Keith Lee puts Hobbs through a wall. My favorite part was after he goes through the wall, a clearly Varsity Blonde's Brian Pillman is like, geez, what is going on? That was my favorite part of this whole thing, was the reaction. So clearly, I think we're going to get a tag match here at some point, Swerve and Keith Lee versus Hobbs and Starks, which will be phenomenal because the singles matches we've seen have been really good. So we will see how this shakes out. But guys, the main event of tonight, we should really sink our teeth into. I mean, it was FTR versus the Young Bucks for both the AAA and Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. And cutting to the end of this match, we'll just get you to the winner. FTR win by pinfall with the big rig on Matt Jackson to retain the titles. FTR celebrates, and that ends the night. But man, what a match. I will say instant classic. It has potential to be match of the year. And again, looking at my watch, it's still only April. And we've had a ton of matches that we could probably say, man, this could be a match of the year. This is a steal. What a fantastic match. I mean, the Bucks just being complete heels, throwing out the big rig on them, on FTR, and then FTR towards the end of the match hits the BTE trigger into the big rig. Just what a match. And even, looking at the clock, I'm like, there's 5 minutes left. And at 5 minutes, I thought that there were a number of false finishes that I was like, this is it. This is the match. These titles are changing hands, or, oh, they're going to retain it here. And every time I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm reacting to it. And Mrs. Money's going, there's like 6 minutes left. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, 6 minutes, they could fill that with something. Like, it can happen at any moment here. This match had me hooked from start to finish. I thought it was fantastic. Ryan, I'm throwing it to you first only because you got to see the Super Card of Honor match with the Briscoes and FTR, and now FTR 5 days later is having another match of this caliber. I mean, I guess the question I'll pose to you, and I'll even throw it to Kate when she gives hers, is this like a FTR is making a pretty strong case for saying they're the best tag team out there in the world right now. Is that easy to say?
So first of all, Kate, don't shake your head when I caught it from him when he threw it to me. That's rude.
He did
You
catch
shook
it.
your head.
It was a
Didn't like it.
reception.
Cut the shit.
Oh,
So the match was fan-fucking-tastic. Jesus Christ. just fan-fucking-tastic. I'm with you. I bought in so many of those close pins. I was like, all right, so the FTR is gonna lose. What happens next? Like, it was just, I won't go. You called it all. It was perfect. I also love that for a while there, people were saying, "Oh, AEW's wasting FTR. They're doing nothing with them." And in a matter of weeks has reestablished that they're the best fucking tag team in the world. Like, it didn't take AEW is very good at being like, yeah, we can heat this up anytime we want. Like, whenever we're ready. All it took was let them beat the Briscoes at our age and then let them beat the Bucks. And now everybody's like, yeah, they're on a fucking run. And they're nowhere near the tag titles.
Schlong, it's not even over a matter of weeks. It's over the matter of less than 1 week. You know what I mean? Like, that's the crazy part. Yeah, they've had some good matches leading into those two shows, but literally in less than a week, they've been heated all the way back up to the top. Like, it's crazy.
And the best part is they're nowhere near the AEW tag titles, so other teams can benefit from those, while these teams that have already don't need them are doing their own thing. And it's given the ROH tag titles a lot of weight, a lot of value, because I know they've had the AAA ones and it's not doing anything for them, but the ROH, I think, is going to get referenced a fuck ton. So it's going to give those things a lot of value that FTR are the ROH tag champions. Now, Kate, I'm going to throw it to you. Be prepared to catch. Oh, you bitch, you dotty fucking bitch.
One-handed, holy.
Yeah.
She just dottied me.
Fucking dottied you to death, bro. It's very cool to me that I'm seeing one of, if not the best tag teams of all time. And also Bryan Danielson, who is in that conversation on the single side in real time on my television. Like, it's just kind of fucking mind-blowing that I get to see this. What's incredible to me is that I think these are not only is FTR the best tag team in the world right now, I would say the Young Bucks are number 2. So I think you're seeing,
and to some, they're number 1. That's how close it is. A lot
they are. Yeah. And I think it's just a stylistic preference on that front. One thing that really stood out to me in this match was I like what Dax does better than what Cash does, and I like what Nick does better than what Matt does, but they both offset each other's strengths and weaknesses. Like, I've said that before about Matt and Nick. Like, Nick is, I think, the better in-ring guy, but Matt is a better salesman and probably a better storyteller. So you have these magic combinations, and then on top of that, the two of them are so different stylistically from each other as teams that it's just like this whole like chemistry overload that happens when these guys are in the ring together. What a special match to close out Dynamite. Part 2 was as great as part 1, if not better. And to see, you know, when FTR left WWE, it wasn't because of their booking. It was because they don't care about tag team wrestling in WWE. And to know how much they love tag team wrestling and to get to see them do this it's such like a beautiful love letter to it. And to have these more modern guys that take criticism and turn it up to 10, that come out in this ridiculous attire but have this old school flavor to them, and then two guys that, I say it all the time, feel like they walked out of mid-80s NWA. Like, what a moment in time that's being captured. Like, it's just so much damn fun. And I don't think anybody would argue with you to say that AEW's tag division is the best in the world, and this was like the top 2 in that. Like, I think it's the best of the best, having one of the best matches you'll ever see, and to get to see FDR have that incredible match with the Briscoes, which, from what I've seen and heard, like, they mentioned the Briscoes on television tonight. So I don't know if things are changing with the original edict from Warner TV, because that was the other thing with Supercard of Honor. That crowd was so fucking hot for that match. I wonder if they're like, maybe we can see send the Briscoes to some sort of sensitivity training and get them in this division, because I think they knew people were going to be excited, but like, holy shit, that was some different level stuff that happened over the weekend. And to go into this with such a completely different story and style, just what an incredible way to close out the night. And it makes me so happy to see FTR doing what they're doing and bring in Bret Hart, because I'll explode. Thanks.
Yeah, it was quite a special way to end the show tonight. And again, this is free TV that they're giving this match away on, right? Like, they didn't put it behind a paywall. They just gave you quality wrestling on TV for free on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. So yeah, guys, I thought this show was a lot of fun tonight. Dynamite. I thought it was another strong showing. Last week we thought it was pretty strong. The show seemed to flow and really move along. This week I felt the same thing. Everything was good. Storylines are continuing to move forward. So I thought it was a nice event, and it seems like everybody who was in attendance in Boston sort of felt the same thing. So just another fantastic Dynamite. As far as additional news and notes, guys, I don't really have too much. It looks like maybe Moxley's working with a hamstring injury that he got during training prior to his GCW shows during WrestleMania weekend. So he might be working a little hampered here, but he must be good enough to go if they're still having him wrestle on Friday night, right? So he can't be hurt too bad, which is a good thing. Also, Samoa Joe gave a speech after the Super Card of Honor went off air. That's circulating off online, so anybody can go there and catch it. But he also spoke during the media scrum post show. So if you want to see that, you could certainly check it out. But he had nothing but kind of great things to say. Talk about his decision going to AEW, kind of after his situation with the E went down. So I at least bring that up because I saw that passing through. I'm not going to read through the whole transcript or anything like that, but go check it out if you care about anything Joe said. His showing tonight was good for a first match back, and it seems like he's kind of reinvigorated to get everything going again here in AEW. So a lot of fun right now, a lot of fun in pro wrestling. And in AEW, just continuing to move things forward and looking forward to Ring of Honor, whatever that might look like.
Now, Ann, are you looking forward to Friday? Because there is a match that Kate is very much looking forward to.
Well, I will say this. What's this for? Yeah. I certainly have a rundown of what's coming up. Thanks for reminding me, Ryan, without maybe even meaning to. So just to recap what's coming up in the next couple weeks here on AEW television. Friday night on Rampage this week. This can be this has a great card lineup. We're going to get John Moxley versus Wheeler Yuta. We're going to get Swerve versus QT Marshall. We're also going to get Bryan Danielson versus Trent Beretta. And maybe the news that made us all super happy tonight was the announcement we're going to get a women's qualifier match for the Owen Hart tournament. It will be Red Velvet versus Willow Nightingale.
Hello.
We've done it. We did it.
I
did it.
did it.
We willed it back.
Oh man, such great news. Like, obviously, and I heard she got a full entrance on Rampage, which is extremely exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard this.
That's always huge.
Yeah, that's a really promising sign, I think. And I also heard that Rampage ring wise was just ridiculous, which makes sense with what you just said. So
also, I gotta think Willow's ROH showing and how much support she had in the fans probably got to Tony pretty easily, being like, holy crap, she was over.
How dare you? It was all my tweets. It was only my tweets.
Well, the other thing too, Ryan, is just I know Kate and me and Millionaire Matt were at the final battle of all battles to be finally battled. And
Sounds like a Dr. Seuss book.
it is. And I can tell you there, Ryan, it was the women's title match. There was Roxy versus Willow. And honestly, I felt the crowd was firmly behind Willow. Like they really wanted Willow to win that match, and she didn't, and they were behind Roxy when Roxy wound up coming out on top. But it really was a crowd that was into Willow. I thought Willow had a great showing at the Supercard, and the crowd was into her. The crowd was into both that entire match, though. You know what I mean? Like everybody was into that match. So yeah, I mean, I don't think, and Willow had wrestled during the pandemic on AEW Dark Elevation, maybe had one showing on television. So I know they were pretty familiar with her, but yeah, listen, I think we've all said it. If they can sign her in any fashion to AEW or Ring of Honor, it's a win. I think she's the future of what can be done, right? And she's unique and seems genuine about everything she's doing, because I think she is
so
genuine.
Fucking likable. She's
she's
just such a pure baby face. She's so easy to root for.
And we said it.
She will
we
have
said
kids loving her.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we said it, Kate, on the bonus show, which anybody can watch on YouTube or listen in podcast form on any of your podcast forums. For our Supercard bonus show we did, Kate, we had talked about like some other people who have tried to be this happy, smiley, and that's not me calling out like Smiley Kylie or anything, right? Like these smiley, huggable, lovable baby faces sometimes doesn't come off genuine, right? Like it comes off forced. It's not that way with Willow. It seems so genuine. And that will mean when she does turn heel at some point in the future, it's going to be so amazing.
Nasty. Yeah.
It will be so amazing. But we are just excited that we'll see Willow Friday night on television. Now, next week on Dynamite, they've announced, as we mentioned, we're going to get Eddie Kingston, Santana and Ortiz versus Chris Jericho, Daniel Garcia, and Jake Hager. We'll also get a tag title match. Oh my God, Jurassic Express. Sorry, I wanted to call them Lucha Express. Jurassic Express versus Redragon. So that's taking place next Wednesday. And then on Rampage next week, we know we're going to get our Adam Page versus Adam Cole Texas Death Match for the title. And then they announced one match so far for Battle of the Belts on April 16th. That's the Women's Championship match. It will be Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose. And I can tell you this, there will be a bonus show for that. And it very well might include another member of my household. So, if you enjoyed the first bonus show we did for Battle of the Belts, tune in for the second
Baby
one.
A is going to do the show.
I know.
It's going to be late, but we're going to keep him up. He'll be like a little drunken sailor.
Here comes the monies.
That's right. So there's a lot of action coming up in the next week and a half, I guess, for AEW. So stay tuned. And stay tuned here on the Mark Order podcast. But there's also other places we're going to be showing up. Kate, you maybe are the one who has the most going on. So why don't you tell us where you're going to be when you're not with us?
Sure. Well, Tuesdays, I am watching what's left of NXT, and during the Fightful Post show with Alex Pulaski, we do Sour Grabs. Come join us. The show's terrible, but we just are insane to make it fun. Wednesdays, I'm obviously here. Fridays, AEW Rampage and SmackDown post show. But this Saturday, making my Jesus Christ, my commentary
I was going to say, geez, you went big time quickly.
Excite Wrestling debut on commentary. So very, very excited about that. They're a promotion out of upstate New York, my hometown of Binghamton, actually. And I'm very excited. It's the first time I've ever done commentary, like for real. So I'm a little nervous, but I will not be bumfuzzled at the desk.
Ooh. So as we discussed earlier, if anybody missed it, we're going to figure out a word for Kate to work into the commentary. Right now, because of the last poll we did, it's bumfuzzled. But Ryan, maybe this time instead of a poll, we just put the question out there and we can pin it.
I did, but there was like to get it to like that to get it so that we can at least choose after that, because what people were the most proud of. I cut out words that I just know she couldn't say and put like 4 or 5 of the ones we got, because there's a lot that I know just Kate can't say the first time she's on that show.
Of course, but maybe just so we don't have to put a poll and pick and choose, just we'll source it and then we will just pick off the list. We won't leave it to the people. They'll give us their suggestions and then we'll let them know what the word is we decide. You know what I'm saying?
Not those idiot marks.
That's right. That's how Kate really feels.
Wow, Kate, you're really making an enemy of Mark Quill over here.
And Kate, you might have said it, but just one more time, how can people see that show on Saturday?
Sure. They are broadcasting live on Twitch. So twitch.tv/Excite Wrestling without an E, because this is wrestling. So XCITE Wrestling. The first bell is at 5:00. So come check it out. Friend Dan Barry, who got caught up in our FMK talk previously on the show, is on the card. It should be a really fun time. So looking forward to it.
So check it out, folks, and stay tuned to our Twitter. We'll ask for the suggestion. We'll pin it up after we eventually get there. And Ryan, speaking of Twitter, what are you doing when you're not with us?
On Mondays and Tuesdays, I am live tweeting Dark Elevation and Dark at Mark Order Pod. And then I'm there the rest of the week just hanging out. So if you want to have fun wrestling conversations with me, I'm willing to do it. Otherwise, I'm making shitty jokes.
Just like here.
Exactly. To me, but on Twitter.
There you go. You don't have to hear his voice, but you can hear him say everything coming through the Twitter. You can hear it all in his tone and tenor. So when I'm not here, I'm not doing really anything else. But what I can tell you is that I am looking out for requests for free Mark Order podcast stickers. So all you have to do is to go to any of our social pages, and you can find us on our socials at Mark Order Pod, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, anything like that. If you're following us, just hit the link tree in our bio, and that'll give you links to all of our other socials so you can follow along with us on those. And also there's a link for you to submit for stickers. All you got to do is give us your name, your address, the country you live in, and I'll take care of the rest. I will send some stickers out to you free of charge. Kate likes to spread a false narrative. I'm trying to control the narrative that Kate likes to say that you need to pay for the postage. No, I handle the postage. No worries. We'll send them anywhere in the world. All you got to do is send us your name, address, the country you live in. It'll take care of it. And send me the request, and I will get a couple of these bad boys out to you, V1 and V2. You'll get a couple each. And you can share them with some of your friends. And I said it last week. If you got in on the first round of stickers, we realize there's new ones. You could send a request, but I'm kind of holding them because I want to make sure everybody new is getting some stickers. We'll get them to you eventually. We appreciate the support that you want to help us out, but we want to spread the love. So let's give the noobs a chance. Other than that, to everybody who watched us tonight on YouTube, thank you very much, everybody. We love you guys. All of our friends, Mark Quill, Rob Humphrey checking in late. We see you, Rob Humphrey, Kyle K. Sparks, Gordon Post, Asian Joe, Mike Peterson also checking in late, but we see you, Mike. I'm sure I'm missing a ton
Eric
of people.
F was here.
That's
Matthew
right.
Plus.
Mike Peterson was at Dynamite today, actually. I think. I
Yes.
believe, right? Yeah.
Yes,
very
he
cool.
was.
Thanks for joining after, buddy.
Yeah. So to everybody who chatted along tonight with us, that we were kind of calling it up on the show, and even we see you guys chatting with each other in the YouTube, which is awesome. We want you guys to interact with each other and just be nice, right? So
I'll make us send Kate after you.
Yeah, please don't. Jeez.
You don't want this.
No.
You don't want none.
So we appreciate it. Just make sure if you're on our YouTube, as we kind of said earlier, people were like, can I send super chats for money? We would love that. But help spread the word. Subscribe to the YouTube. If you know people who would be into this show or are AEW fans, even now Ring of Honor fans, we're starting to get into that world with the promotion. Certainly help spread the word. Subscribe to the YouTubes, do all that kind of stuff. And if you're listening in podcast form, we certainly do appreciate you too. We see all the people who are out there listening in podcast form. Just make sure that you're subscribing, liking, rating, reviewing, doing anything you can do to help us on podcast form, because it helps us show up in algorithms and all that kind of fun stuff. But if you are watching or listening to us in podcast form and you haven't checked out the video, you should certainly just try to check it out at least once on our YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, because it's fun to see Ryan changing his backgrounds week to week. I try to sort of change around my getup. You can see I got my new NWO jacket up tonight. But we try to change the setups and make things fun. Sometimes Kate has Buster there assaulting her. So check us out in video form. And there are some gems in the video formats. Matt's cats getting into a fight and him having to leave. Matt coming in maybe a little inebriated, allegedly, taking his shirt off. That was fun.
Spicy margaritas.
Possibly, allegedly. So definitely try to check us out if you can in video form. We would appreciate that as well. Other than that, guys, we will be back. Oh, guys, I forgot to mention to you, next Friday is Good Friday if you celebrate, but it's going to be a great Friday for me. I'm going to be seeing cruise director Mike and Fozzy.
Ooh.
In PA.
Oh, yeah.
That's
coming
right.
to Pennsylvania.
And Mrs. Money, who does...
I've done that.
Cool it. Mrs. Money, who does concert photography on the side, is trying to get a photo pass for this one. And I was like, you have to get a photo pass. I was like, that would be great. So I'll be sure to let you guys know in a couple weeks how Fozzy was. Looking forward to it. It'll be a great Friday for me. But then we will be back here on the 16th. So we're here next week, normal date, normal time with the Mark Order podcast. And then next Saturday night on the 16th, we're going to do a bonus show. We'll promote it because we know we're actually going to do it ahead of time now. So we'll be here to cover Battle of the Belts and do a quick recap on that. So jump in, see who's going to be joining us. Maybe some of these guys will, maybe not, but we'll definitely have a special guest that night. Schlong, is there something you'd like to say?
Thank you. I would just like to say to the people, so schlong and good night.
Well, we'll see you here next week on the Mark Order podcast.
This concludes the Mark Order podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Join the Mark Order.